Good stuff. So down to business. I'll call the meeting to order at 7:01. And the first item that we've got, we do have a missing member. So Andy has asked that Matt Olson serve in his stead. So I'll entertain a motion for the same.
So moved.
Great. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Boards and commissions. Open Space Commission. Thank you very much. So we do have circulated a narrative that's going to be summarized, perhaps.
Yes. Had this been circulated earlier?
This went out via email.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Kim last week had circulated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
They'll send it out after.
That's
Got
right.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it the same?
This is more comprehensive. I think this one is a little bit more comprehensive than the one that you sent around. Yeah.
All righty.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, in our earlier meeting with Kim and David made an interesting comment to me in that when Diana Atwood Johnson was chair of Open Space, the budget basically consisted of monies being appropriated to the acquisition fund, and I gave that some thought. And why are we different today? Not that we're using much more money. I think one of the differences is that times have changed. During COVID, we saw an explosion of use in our properties. People that weren't going anywhere else were coming into open space and using the preserved lands, and the parking lots were full. And on top of that, one of the things we've been doing is we have such a wonderful resource that we've encouraged people to go out and walk our trails and use our land. Edie, behind me from the Land Trust, will say that they do the same thing. And it spills over. When they promote their trails, people come to our trails and vice versa. So I would suspect we have much more use than we did in the past. And then another point is that there's a new emphasis on inclusion. And by inclusion, I mean for open space, the property is used by people with varying degrees of mobility. We have people of different ages, people with different levels of fitness. And we want to welcome everyone, and we want to work towards that. So one of the things we hope to do in the next year is to add onto our maps kind of a approximation of what trails are easy, what trails are moderate, what trails are strenuous. So if you're fit, you can choose your trail. If you want more leisurely walk, you could choose a different trail. I would say that overall, the town's roughly 1,000 acres of open space, when that is added to the conserved land that's held by the Land Trust, the state, and that really contributes to our town's quality of life and appeal. Open Space is very appreciative of your support in the past of our budget, and I would stress that we strive to complete all our work with efficiency and careful care of that support and make the best use possible of our money. So in recognition, we're not asking for any additional funds beyond what we appropriated last year for our base budget. And that includes the monies that we spend for clerical assistance, the monies for our legal counsel as needed, and also our property maintenance, which includes hiring our 3 stewards and also includes various work that we need on the property. For example, one of our projects this past year was to do some repairs to a spillway in the McCulloch family open space, which it's essentially like a dam, and we need to basically reinforce that so waters weren't running off into an abutting property. That said, we'd like your support for a couple of special projects, and the main one is described in detail in the budget narrative I provided to you, and that's regarding the Ferry Landing Wildlife Refuge. That used to be the Eklund Pond open space, and we renamed that to kind of reflect, number one, its historic location. It's right at the point on the river that Benjamin Franklin surveyed a crossing for a ferry years ago, and it also kind of melds with the state's Landing State Park, and the two of them together make a combined conserved property that is really special. As I mentioned to David, that used to be one of Diana Atwood Johnson's favorite spots in town. She used to love to go down there and bird watch. Evan Grizzle, who is kind of the naturalist of our commission, loved to do the same thing, and we'd like to bring it back to that state. Unfortunately, it's been kind of overgrown with Phragmites, which are, if you're familiar with, it's one of the worst invasives that we have in this area. But it looks like there's kind of a glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel. Some projects have addressed that really successfully. Rich Snarsky up in Lyme did a really successful project eradicating the Phragmites in Lord's Cove. I'm on the Gateway Commission, and we help support that, and he seems to have had great success. We consulted really closely with a number of other people, and also DEEP, and we have a plan that we'd like to try that we think can bring that property back to where it was. We made a presentation to the Board of Selectmen, and they made a resolution supporting this project, and we hope we can ask you for similar support. Much of what we're going to do, much of the cost of what we're going to do involves addressing the Phragmites. You basically address in two fashions. Number one, by mechanically mowing each season, either in the late winter or spring. So you chop down the reeds, they're exposed, and then when they start growing, we treat them under herbicide, which is something kind of new for us, but we're going to be really careful in the application, and as I said, we've consulted with DEEP's recommended companies for us to seek bids from, and they also recommended the treatment plan that we'll put forth. To be successful, we need to address this over multiple seasons, probably 3 seasons, multi-fiscal years, in other words. The first, the cost for the overall Phragmites project, we estimate will be in the $30,000 range, again, over three seasons. The Board of Selectmen endorsed this with a cap of $40,000, and I think we'll stay well within that. Another reason that we'd like to try this is that we think there's a really good chance that we can get some state support for this. There's a new state grant program that's funded by boating fees, which is designed specifically to address control of aquatic invasive species. And we certainly apply for that at least 2 of the years. We kind of missed the boat on this last one, but we'll apply for the next 2 fiscal years. I'm pretty confident that we'll have a good shot at getting some support for that. And in addition to the Phragmites eradication, which is a major part of this project, we're going to do some upland work to take out some of the invasives and plant some native species, such as oak and so forth, that basically were there and have been overgrown. And then lastly, we hope that when we do this work, it'll kind of be a classroom and ecological model for the town. One of the things that we really enjoyed doing is working with the high school environmental club, working with other groups in town like Audubon, and we hope to involve them and really kind of make it a classroom. And we're going to take some drone photos. This is what it used to be, and hopefully in a couple of years, this is what we're able to achieve. A couple other additional points. We would ask once again that the acquisition fund be funded with $75,000. We also talked to you last year about monies to use for document storage. I have about 3 gigabytes of about 2,000 files on my PC at home, and probably half of those are documents that should be here in secured storage by the town. I've talked to Tom Myers, and he's got a really busy schedule, having Ralph come on board pretty soon, dealing with cybersecurity and other issues. He suggested that why don't you go ahead and look at something on your own? And frankly, I'm very disinclined to do that. I think it should be something that's under control of town employees and not volunteers, and I think it should be within town systems.
So this was something that we did bring up at last week's meeting. Tom Meyer happened to be here, as well as a few members of the IT committee. He suggested to the Board of Selectmen that a needs assessment be done because we assume that you're not the only board and commission that probably has files on personal computers. So I think that was sort of the recommendation for that item, was that the Board of Selectmen needs to do a full assessment of boards and commissions and figure out how much storage is needed and what a solution to that might be.
So it's a little bit longer term. It's not a request for your budget. It will be a town budget.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
To us, it doesn't matter where it comes from.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that the files I have on my computer crashes, or I can come off the board, that they're there where they should be.
Right, yeah.
Come off the board.
Yeah.
Once you're in,
Roche
it's for life.
Motel.
Yeah.
Right, so as far as that $2,500 line item goes, that's in your budget.
The only portion that we may use, and I tried to reach Tom this week, and I haven't been able to connect with him if he's working full or part-time. We also have a number of paper files. A lot of them date back to Diana's time, historical records and maps and property files and whatever, that we'd like to put in a file cabinet somewhere. So if there's a file cabinet available, that would be great. And that, maybe some of that money to buy one.
Okay.
We did have a file cabinet at one time, and someone basically took it. So we're left without one.
Was it empty?
No, we had stuff in it. We came there one day, and our files are on the floor.
Oh, okay, but your files were not.
Yeah, no, we still have our files, but they're not. They're
Still.
not in the cabinet.
It was halfway bad.
Yeah, halfway bad.
100% bad.
And the last thing I wanted to mention, and this is kind of a down the line, is we've been, since I became chair, I've been really working with Fred Berger to try to come up with an accommodation that helps the town on the Button Ball property. And the committee did come up with a recommendation to provide to the board, which the board will consider in the future. We haven't budgeted anything for that because we frankly didn't know what our standing would be in that process. The committee recommended that open space have some responsibility for the upland maintenance. That mostly includes signage, which I think we can easily handle out of our regular budget, and some type of fencing or barrier to keep people from wandering onto the marsh and fishing and so forth. And that's really pretty much of a vague idea at this point. There's some people that would like to see some type of wooden fence. Other people are saying, just put some bushes or a natural barrier. So that's kind of up in the air. And again, I hope that we can accommodate that out of our regular budget, but there's a possibility it won't be the case. But we won't really know, number one, what we'll need. Number one, if we're going to be involved, depending on the judgment of the board. And number two, what we'll need for probably until a little bit later in this fiscal year.
I think in that meeting was a week ago from yesterday, right? So what we've got in the budget right now that relate to these items, we've got contracted services file storage of $2,500. That was the first thing that we talked about. And then we've got $2,000 in other miscellaneous, and we've had historically an open space other line item, so there's some duplicity here, or duplication rather. My recommendation and open up discussion, contracted services is going to be a bigger picture issue. So we can probably keep $10 in there just to keep it as a line item potentially. And then we do have a miscellaneous line item that could be for use of signage and kind of preliminary items as the plan for Button Ball evolves. So $2,000 is a fair amount, and we haven't had that historically. So that could be something that the Board of Finance considers. So I'll throw that out there.
My question is, if you do that, we are not funding open space other, and they have used 5,000 in the past that was allowed for that.
But it looks like this year, nothing has been attributed to that through November.
I see that.
Right? Or
I don't know how accurate this is.
Thank you.
Matt, do you have actuals on this?
No, I don't think any of the budget was that last this year is zero.
Right,
from,
okay.
that was from last year's
That was
budget.
22, 20.
Because we reallocated
Okay,
those.
so it moved up. And we haven't used anything on the other two lines?
Well, can I make a quick comment on
Yeah.
two things?
No.
Pardon?
File storage is a brand-new thing, but, you've got two lines for miscellaneous other, so it's a little confusing, but
Well, to be frank, it's confusing to me, too.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to consult with Nicole, who came up with these budget categories with Amanda Blair. And to be frank with you, I'm not sure what the definitions of what goes in what line item is for the other. And also, I would say that I'm not sure that what we spent today is entirely accurate.
Okay.
And the one thing I mentioned to David and Kim was that our budget showed no expense for legal. And in fact, we probably spent $2,000 with our town attorney, Rich Cody, mostly in consultation with whether or not it would be appropriate to have a lease to allow equestrian use on McCulloch.
Now, we had budgeted
Yeah.
money for legal.
Yeah, and we have used some of that, although the last report I saw, it showed no expenditure. And I did provide information to Amy Jensen about that, so
But the budget request also is for another $3,000 this coming year for proviso for things.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of that is frankly for unexpected things that arise. I mean,
well, you also have
If you have a negotiation, you're
Well-
going to be buying a piece of property.
absolutely. For that, I mean, a year ago, we wouldn't know that someone who was interested in buying property of Jason and McCulloch and asking if they could use horses on our property. They proposed a lease and we're going to pay rent, and so we had to analyze that. And it turned out that
this is also November, so, if you check the chart.
Yeah, that's what,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and so actually looking at the latest budget numbers we have from February 3rd, and here it looks like that last open space dash other line is not part of the 22-23 budget. It looks, just looking at
It
this.
doesn't look like it is.
Yeah,
It's not in here.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like that $5,000 that was historically in there maybe got split between legal
So,
and other miscellaneous.
Got it.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And I will tell you also, for the maintenance item, which is the largest line item on there, we have two projects that we'd like to complete this year. One is the Barbizon Oak, unfortunately, has probably died, but we think it's still a landmark tree. It's a historic tree, and we're all in favor of saving it. Just number one, because it's still an impressive structure, and number two, it shows the life cycle of what happens in a forest. But we want to put a low-profile fence around that just to keep people from going under the tree and the risk of having a branch fall. And we also have a bridge that crosses a stream that appears to be permanent, that runs in the Bartholomew open space. We had a Girl Scout who was going to build with her father a really cool-looking suspension bridge, but Inland Wetlands decided that that would be too much disturbance to have to put in a post for that. So we had some volunteers that put in which is unfortunately a pretty ramshackle bridge. That's kind of embarrassing when I saw it, and that's the kind of thing where I was able to walk across it, and I'm not sure I'd be comfortable with having everybody cross that bridge. So we want to put a more secure bridge. So those two line items will definitely use some of that money. And that's the kind of thing that, beyond using the stewards, that we would use that budget line item for.
So the operational budget we've got as proposed, so could be some refinement if people feel compelled. Then we got the 75,000 that we typically fund every
Right.
year. That's the second thing. And then the third thing is on the capital side, Greg, what we talked about for the Ferry Road Wildlife Refuge is what its moniker is here on the capital budget. So last year we funded 7,000 into that, we talked about. And so the idea is you've talked with the selectmen about another 33 would be the peak.
No, 33 would include that portion.
Would it, but 40,000 was what the...
40,000 was the cap, the ceiling.
Was the cap, right. So but there's two things. There's the cap, and then there's what we expect to spend. We expect to spend 33, just in case 40 is what the selectmen have talked to you about, correct?
Yes.
So
In that regard, that given the expected multi-year cost of this, it would be a job that we did. And I would say in that regard, when we came up with our budget estimates, we're pretty confident in that 33,000 being a ceiling, because someone quoted us based our estimate on that.
Yeah.
So if someone's willing to do that, I think when we go out to bids, maybe we'll even do better than that.
Yeah. So, but providing the needed flexibility that you need, so for this year, this fiscal year, 23-24, through June 30th of next year, what we talked about, Kim and you and I, was you got 7,000 that hasn't been touched so far.
Well,
tiny bit. But
I sent you and Kim and Tim a memo, CC'd on a memo to Amy. What we've done is we've reached out to a company. We got 3 quotes. We reached out to a company to do the mechanical mowing this spring, this fiscal year. And that'll be roughly 6,000 out of 7.
Yep. So the 7,000 though, 33 is kind of what we think it's going to cost.
Correct.
Of which 6,000 might get spent this spring.
Yes.
But we're already budgeted for that. So that's a good thing.
Yep.
So going forward, I'm just clarifying for the Board of Finance, what may be required in 23-24 should probably be, and we talked about carryover.
Yep.
I'm probably happier in this case to personally carry that over because it's going to be a small amount potentially. But, so we have 7,000 out of 33. Already budgeted.
Dave, in one of the schedules, I think it was about 14,275 for 24.
Yep.
So we kind of rounded up to 14,500 next year and 12,500 for the following year and 25 for the Fragmity thing.
Yeah. So the question is, do we just budget for this year for everything, or are we going to kind of break it up?
What the selectmen were talking about going 14,500 on the capital line for open space, a new line beneath those two.
Yeah.
And then in the next column, 24,500, you could put the 12,500, which would round out the full project.
Okay. So that's the Board of Selectmen's recommendation is 14,500 this year, 12,500 next year. Okay.
Well, we had itemization of what we hope to do in that.
Exactly.
So, beyond the Fragmites, we had relatively minor jobs to do, and that's listed on that documentation. So we were actually looking for 21 for the next fiscal year, of which 14 would be devoted to the Fragmites.
22.
22, yes.
22.
So 22 in this coming fiscal year.
23.
Next fiscal year, 23, 24.
Do you want to keep a dedicated line to Ferry Road?
That would be fine. That would work for us.
Another one
That would work for us, Tim.
with the miscellaneous projects?
This would go up to 22.
Well, yeah, to Tim's point, I mean, it's a mechanical point, but it's important.
12.
Well, I think these are all related to Ferry Road. There's just 14,000 of it is Fragmity.
Yes, it's all for exclusively for.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So 22 this year, and then 12,500 potentially next year, but next year is next year.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll come back to
Which does that bring it over 40, over 3 years?
No, 40 was for the Fragmites.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it does, but
But
there's other stuff.
got it. Okay.
All right, so we're already good this year, 22 for this
23,
coming year.
24.
Yep.
Yep.
And I would make one other comment, too. As I mentioned, that we hope to go to DEET for money for the Phragmites project, but one of the things I'm really keen on is that the town take advantage of other funding sources. And we already received a grant from the Eastern Community Foundation for $7,500 for this. We've gotten a grant from the Rockfall Foundation for some educational work on Ames, and I'd love to apply to them for some of this work too. So we'll definitely aggressively look for other funding to offset some of these costs. We can't count on them, but we'll
Thank you.
definitely seek that.
Great. Wonderful.
Okay. Any other questions while we've got?
Mr. Rutherford, the grants, we'll show that on the income side of the budget. So for the state grants, Rockfall, how much?
Well, Rockfall would be for basically periphery stuff, helping with the drone or educational program, whatever. The main
Just the amount.
we shoot for is DEEP's new grant program to combat aquatic invasives and species. They have a $50,000 cap with asking for 25% match.
But I think he might be asking what you mentioned you had received a grant.
Oh,
No, well, this would be for the next year budget.
Oh, okay.
What you
Got
would
it.
be taking in, so Rockfall
Yeah,
might,
I'm like,
no,
Thank you.
we'd apply for these grants. We haven't applied for them yet.
All right.
So they're not approved. They're
Right.
prospective applications.
so it's
Thank you, I will on that.
too much of a... future
Question mark to budget for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's Tim's question. Should we
Yeah.
budget on the revenue side?
I don't know
Close
if you
enough.
can budget on the revenue side. I
yeah.
view it as it's a bonus if we get it.
Yeah.
We'll make a really good attempt. I write a great grant.
Yeah.
We'll do our best.
That's usually how it works. Expenses are much more certain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Martha?
I might be missing this, but Greg mentioned the 75,000 for acquisition funds, but I'm not seeing that on the line item.
That's in one of the transfer up.
Yeah. It's a separate line item on our
You have
budget card.
Transfer out, okay.
I'm not sure where in the budget that
It's there, it's in section 210.
that was
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You heard me.
that was actually established in '98 before there was a commission.
I knew it was that. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions? Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
With that, say capital for later, but on the operating side, the budget right now is $23,264. Is that what everyone has?
Right. We are not changing file maintenance or anything.
It's up for discussion, yeah.
Well, you're going to take that file maintenance down to $10?
What if we leave it at, what if we make it 500? If they're thinking they're probably going to have to buy a filing cabinet.
Yeah, because it's new territory, so
Thank you.
That too.
Thank you.
consolidate it when it happens, if it happens, but...
Right.
So 21,264,
Make a motion for that.
that change?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Questions? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Abstentions? Thank you, motion carries. Okay. Great.
Next on the agenda, you have other associations and nonprofits.
We do indeed.
But I think we covered everything last week, but library
I think you're right.
and
Flo
the
Grizz,
Grizz.
yes.
And they're both here tonight,
Yep.
so,
They're on the agenda just because we still need to vote on them.
okay,
Yeah.
good. I
Everything-
just want to make sure we
Yeah, presentation-wise.
spend
So,
more time on it.
library, shall we?
Coming up.
You're coming up. Pull up a couple of seats.
Glad to be back in the flesh.
Thanks, Tom. He's good.
Take them back to me. All right. Do you need these distributed? I've got copies.
211. It's in our book. I don't know if it's since the last time.
Katie, let me just take a
Yes.
quick look.
Yeah, I think the last, if it was the one I sent you, post our meeting, the dates changed, but everything else I believe is the same.
Okay, mine is
I don't have it in the book.
217. You might as well pass it.
Okay, hold on.
I have it, but I haven't put it in my book. Thank you.
Well, I have them, so this prevents me just
Feeling like
recycling
you wasted
them.
it.
Exactly.
So the request that we have in the book is for 385.
Yes.
Grab one for Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you get one?
Good.
All set. Thank you.
So 385 is in our book.
Correct.
Other numbers around it may have changed a little bit, probably.
Yes, so the final request for the town, we have bumped up to 395 since our conversation, or since our original budget submission in November, having met with the library's finance committee and the personnel committee, and following our discussion with Jude and Maria, we've increased that by $10,000 to the original budget. With the 285 amount, we had only had a 2% cost of living adjustment for the staff, and we had to cut library materials and services to accommodate contractual increases in other areas. We were in a pretty tight budget, and like everyone and everything, we're seeing everything is more expensive. From paper, the cost of a hardcover book is up to $45 at this point. We pay a discount on that, but everything is more expensive. So to make us whole in terms of completely funding that library materials and service at a 0% change, and giving our staff a little bit beyond the 2% given the inflation rate, we're asking for the additional 10 beyond our normal ask. We recognize that times are hard for everyone and that might not be available, but we would like to ask. I believe the standard $10,000 increase has been on the books for a very long time. I don't know what that history's been.
As long as I can remember.
It was definitely prior to me.
So the overall operating expenses are going from $855,200 for the approved
Right.
budget to $897. So that's a difference of 42 grand, right? And so typically we fund roughly 40 to 45% of the budget. So that difference is 42 grand times 40% would be 16,000 of the increase. So this is a $20,000 increase, so slightly above what proportionally it may be for the operating expenses.
Well, so their health insurance went from $20,000 to $33,000.
Because of usage?
They were part of a consortium, I believe.
No, so this
We're with
was...
the town?
We're not. We're independent at the moment, and that's one of the things that has come up recently, is looking at other options to partner so that we can maybe see a savings there. But the increase is this year, or projected. We hired a new full-time, or we replaced a full-time employee, and the new employee needs health insurance and is qualified. So that's that.
And that was a major increase.
A major increase, yes. So in addition to the standard contractual increase in the health insurance premium, adding the additional employee.
And the capital repair expenses you've got down there is just actual. It's not a reserve of any sort. Right?
So the $25,000, if you look above we're operating cash carry, that includes that $25,000. So we're forwarding money we have on hand to cover that expense.
But last year you had operating cash carry of 21, you had 63.5 of capital expenses.
Yes.
So that was more of actual so the capital repair expenses are actual anticipated?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's not a reserve, like it's
No.
4% of revenues?
No, I see what you're saying. No, it's roof repairs and exterior doors. It's a very specific.
Yeah.
How's your fundraising going this year?
It's going well this year. We're on target to meet our proposed budget,
The
the 130, yes.
And tell us a little bit about the annual fundraising events that you want to increase the budget by $20,000 and increase expenses by $20,000. Just
Yes.
curious, what do you
Yes.
have?
So at the moment, we've been carrying this $20,000 event for many years, and COVID has gotten in the way. But we're currently planning a fundraising event for our Founders Day this June. And then next year in FY24, we have a golf tournament in play in September with the country club, and we anticipate holding another event for Founders Day 2024. So we're hoping to expand our fundraising reach beyond direct gifts and start doing more events. We also have been doing smaller events. So we had mini golf in the library in February. We had almost 300 people participate. It was a lot of fun. Those aren't major fundraisers, but we raised about $2,000 toward our $20,000 goal at that event.
I guess BJ's point is your revenue goes up by $20,000, but your expenses go up by $20,000. Like,
so
why not
you'll
just
notice, right. So
do what you're doing?
in the previous fiscal years, the expenses for that event were not reflected in the operational expense. And we realized that in this year. So we're anticipating netting 20. So that 2020 balances out, if that makes sense.
But there's also no actuals for fiscal year 22. I'm a little confused, but I think that's okay.
Okay.
You contemplate that if you spend $40,000 on or $20,000, you raise 40, and that's a good investment.
Yes, that's the hope. So that's the plan. Yes. Yes, and the goal is to keep the $20,000 expense as low as possible, so that we're netting as much as possible. And there was nothing in 22 because we didn't have an event. Again, we had planned an event and canceled.
Because of COVID, but you did in prior years, I see.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as the expense to raise the revenue is 50%, that's fine.
Exactly.
Anything above is like a little
Silly.
bit.
Yeah.
In 22, you had fundraising of 166. How are you doing this year? Because you're budgeting $30,000 less. We're kind of getting past. The market's not great, but you're tracking at 130 now.
We are. So last year, in anticipation of knowing that we were not going to have that event, we ramped up and did more fundraising to help compensate for that $20,000 perceived deficit that was coming. So that was part of the $166,000. This year, we're on target to make that 130. Obviously, there's a possibility people will be generous and we'll go over that, but I don't think that it's solid enough to say, yes, we will. In part, I can say to date that our average gift, we're seeing people giving, the same number of people giving, but they're giving at lower amounts. So the family that would give $250 is giving $200. And we're seeing that pretty across the board. There are people who are giving at the same level, but there are very few people who are increasing their charitable giving to the library this year. So right now we're right at about $100,000 going into our spring campaign. So it's a good place to be. We're solid, but I would be surprised if we came in at 166 again. It's a good problem to have, but I would be surprised. Or it's not a problem, but a good.
Do your utilities, because you were able to get that low rate, is that reflected in your projection?
So the projection includes an increase, anticipated increase in the I always get confused. You've got the supply cost and the delivery cost, and we've got the good rate on one, but the other one is not contractually determined, and so that has increased, and that's reflected in this. And we also, with the large fiber installation project we have going this spring, will have an increase in our internet service provision costs.
Okay. Any other questions?
So I have one more thing to say. I guess just in terms of the increase in the annual fund drive, and if we exceed our budget, Tom's been working with the board over the last few years to significantly reduce our dependence on cash carry and trying to reinvest any additional income we receive beyond our budget back into the endowment to stabilize our future, as opposed to trying to balance the budget all the time with hoping on this year being beyond our budget and, counting on good luck to see us through. So that's part of, there's a new and different commitment from the board in terms of reinvesting that money going forward that wasn't necessarily in place when I started. Some background there.
Great.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, Ken.
Thanks.
All right, so this is all part of nonprofits.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Slow Riz, yeah. Hi.
Marie and I met with Matt at his office along with Josh White, the new director, and you presented your budget to us.
We did.
Which is showing an increase of $2,500 for the next fiscal year.
Correct.
As well as a capital request.
Correct.
Of $50, I believe it is.
Correct.
For the next 5 years.
Correct.
So,
We don't have any sheets on this, right? Detail sheet?
No.
No?
No, we've never typically submitted detailed sheet as part of the budget request to the town.
Okay. Can you talk to us then about
Sure.
why the request? It's been $12,500.
At least a decade.
Okay. And this year your request is up to $15,000.
Correct.
And I'm sure it's the same conversation that everyone else has had between inflation, operating costs, and the fact that it's been the same
But you guys aren't
at least
reliant.
a decade.
I mean, $2,500 to Flow Grizz is different than the organization. So
That's correct.
Right.
There's an acknowledgement of participation by the community is important for grants and those sorts of things. That's what we've heard from others.
That's very important, and especially now as we've, the worst kept secret in town that we're looking to expand and going through a campaign at this point, of which we've raised $9 million already. It's become exceptionally clear that funding from the state has dried up. They no longer are as supportive as they once were, especially through grants. We've certainly explored those avenues. We've gone for federal funding as well. It's important to continue to receive funding from the town. Exceptionally helpful for grant applications. $2,500 for us isn't make or break, but I think it is sort of an acknowledgement that we have not come to this committee, to the Board of Finance, for an increase of revenue in at least 10 years.
At least.
And so we're hoping that we can get to 15 as sort of under that acknowledgement.
Can you speak to us about the new request of $50 a year for
Sure.
projected 5 years?
Sure. So I think it's important to recognize sort of what, sort of the relationship the town has with the Florence Griswold Museum and that which the Florence Griswold Museum has with the town. When we talk about being an economic driver, some of the statistics and what we look at, 10,000 visitors, unique visitors alone come to the town of Old Lyme and to the museum in the month of October for the Wee Ferry Village.
Wow.
That's in addition, part of 60,000 unique visitors that visit the museum on an annual basis. We host the Midsummer Concert and, are largely involved in the Midsummer Festival. We offer free days for the community. We bring programming to all of the District 18 schools through our outreach and education programming. There are over 100 field trips, not just from schools, but from elder care facilities and other institutions that come visit on an annual basis.
Are those gratis? How does that work?
Nope, those folks pay. So, if you're from out of district, those field trips are they're
funded by the
funded.
school.
Correct.
Okay.
The Artist Trail, right, was immense for us, especially as a public service. During COVID, that's free and open to the public at any time. You don't have to pay admission to come walk the grounds and the trail and enjoy the scenery and that $1 million view and back. Part of what we're looking to construct as we move forward is not just additional exhibition space, but really is sort of a community space. And this is something that we've gone out through our strategic plan, through our feasibility study, and through our conversations with donors that really does, is quite attractive to many folks. We talk about folks seem to have a need in town for corporate retreats, a place for corporate retreats, for dinners, for events. That's part of our, in addition to additional exhibition space, part of what we'll be building as a part of the campaign.
When you say corporate retreats, are you day and
Just
evening,
day.
but not residents?
Absolutely not.
I think that's important.
I think we would like to stipulate that Logos is wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. I like that stipulation.
I'm guilty of that as well.
I am curious, though, to ask, what does your financial statement look like?
Yeah.
Especially at the bottom line, the excess of expenses over revenues or vice versa.
Yeah, so, last year we were in the hole, about $140,000.
Mm-hmm.
Being a nonprofit.
On what's your operating budget about?
It's about 2.9.
Mm-hmm.
So about 3, just over north. We went up pretty north of 3 last year.
Mm-hmm.
We have a $2.98 million budget again this year.
Mm-hmm.
Being a nonprofit, we budget for net zero.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that's left over, and that includes endowment draw of about 4.5% this year.
Mm-hmm.
Endowment's $22 million. We're fiscally healthy, very strong. Annual fundraisers just north of $400,000 a year, in addition to other fundraising ventures at that point.
Okay.
So 5 years at $50,000 is a lot for a healthy organization. So from the town, just because. How did you guys come up with the figure that you came up with?
So we worked with the Connecticut Office of the Arts and the DECD. We've just applied for a Good to Great grant program that they've launched for $500,000.
No, but how did you come up?
So when we were speaking in the conversation with them, they suggested that the most viable source of funding would be town investment as well, apart from this one particular program. And when I spoke with Liz Shapiro, she thought that looking...
Is it Middletown, Liz Shapiro, by any chance?
Correct.
Yeah.
She thought that looking for 10% of the total footprint, 10% investment from the town of the total footprint of what it would cost to build and rehabilitate community space would be a viable ask. So it's going to cost us $2.5 million to build community engagement space, 10%, $250,000.
Of which some will be corporate and...
Well, we're raising $20 million through the course of the campaign.
Okay.
So we've gone to, at least $2.5 million of federal requests. Got the $500,000 at the state, which apart from bonding is our only viable source of revenue from the state at this point, apart from our budget line item.
Right.
How big is the structure?
Yet to be determined, Tim.
And about where would it be located?
Sort of on the back. If you're looking at if you're looking out from the building where Cafe Flow is, it would likely be on the back towards the north side of the property, attached to Marshfield House.
So more towards
Roger Tory Peterson.
Okay.
And also the artist trail plans to, I'm not sure if RTPEC has been in, but, we plan to connect our properties and work
Kind of where that stick house was?
collegially with, yes, exactly.
So the property that's, your exhibition space will be on the opposite end?
That's correct.
Where the hollow is in the property?
That's one of the thoughts right now.
Okay.
Another one of the thoughts is that we would move Chadwick Studio, which is sort of the artist studio house, move that. We've gone to the NEA, National Endowment for the Arts, as well as the National Endowment for the Humanities, for a total of $1.5 million to move that property and rehab the inside. We would then move exhibition space to where Chadwick Studio is.
What are you going to do about parking? I mean, I would think a lot of this would generate a need for much more parking
Correct.
than what you have.
So the initial plan and thought right now is to eliminate Huntley Brown House, where my office is, and we would add an additional 20 to 30 parking spaces up front.
And that would cover it?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So where are you in the process? Because, I mean, a typical project that we deal with, right? You've got some upfront costs, and we budget year by year.
Right.
So what's going to happen in the next fiscal year from June 30th or July 1st until June 30th of 2024 that's going to be a need for you guys?
I mean, the hope is that by June 1st of 2024, we will have broken ground.
Well, so where is the process?
It's with Stimson. We've engaged Thornton Brook Architects. We've engaged Stimson Landscape Architects. We're down to refinement at this point.
So you've got a budget,
We've got estimators.
schedule,
We've
got
got using
estimations.
Downs for estimators. Yep. The only thing we have not hired is general contract at this point.
Okay.
I have no other questions. I'm sure all that material is available for the public, should
Absolutely.
they like to
Absolutely.
see it.
Yep.
Okay.
So, and maybe I missed it, but is there an ask for a contribution for the county fiscal year with respect to this project?
50,000.
50 grand
That's in the capital.
for the
budget.
next 5 years.
Yep. Correct. That's why I was asking
Right.
the timing budget.
What, the
Capital?
50,000
Capital.
request?
Cap.
X came in on some paperwork on the back side of the page?
No, it was part of the.
No, we've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
we've come across it. I don't know which page offhand right now.
About 12 and a half.
Here it is.
Yeah.
6-year capital and non-recurring budget. And it was on a short sheet in the back of,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I've seen.
Is that under the capital section?
no,
Jude, is that under?
no, it's in your budget book under nonprofits. And
But
how it
we've
ended
seen
up
it.
there, I don't know.
Okay.
We have seen it.
As long as you know.
No,
Yeah,
it's just, I
It's
think when the
not
books
new
were
and
put together.
people knew that it was like a $250,000
Yep, and we've had
ask.
just-
Over 5 years. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep,
Okay.
thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions while Matt's here? Great. Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Matt, for coming in.
Thank you.
All right, so capital we'll get to.
Right.
Operating,
So let's go back to the number.
we have a $1,000 increase from the original is my note.
Library
No, it was
was asking for $395.
Right.
That's right.
And the
And-
Historical Society,
8,500
Instead of 7,500,
That's what I've
correct.
got to. Okay, so 3,
456.5,
Thank you.
466.5?
4565 is what I get.
yep. Me too, thank you. So we can talk about individual line items, we can talk about the total as a motion.
I would make a motion to move the 456.5.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Comments, questions, debate? 456,500 for nonprofits. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. Abstentions? Great, motion carries.
So just to be fair, you got the libraries at 395,
Right, instead of 385.
okay, and everything else is the same?
Florence
Historical Society went up to 8,500 from 7,500 from last week, I think.
It did. Okay.
Okay,
Agenda.
so we've got Mr. Roberge here. That CapEx related?
You just visiting?
Would it be okay to move Dave up?
I'll make a motion to move capital projects related to Dave's items from the budget, or do you want to just move them?
Your first motion was a good one.
Yeah, I'm,
All right.
I'm second.
Yeah,
First part
related
of
to
your
why
motion.
Dave's here.
Yeah, related. Thank you.
Yeah.
Only for your portion of the capital. Yeah.
All right.
We should all go home now.
Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Good evening, everyone.
All right, sir.
Where would you like to begin?
Yeah.
Floor is yours.
Well, we have many different topics, and I don't have the most updated capital request list from that
Well, let,
I gave to Michelle, or to Nicole, and she's unable to provide a copy.
well, let me just see. We've got emergency management here. Right there. And I'll give you this, Dave.
Okay.
So that is page 3, it looks like. Anything else that would be your responsibility?
Emergency management.
Fire marshal, anything or no? I think that's it.
Thank you.
That's it? Emergency management?
Page 3?
Yeah. That's it for him?
I think so.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep, pretty close. The first line item under emergency management, equipment grant reimbursable, that is equipment and labor related to any millstone type activities. We're able to get 100% reimbursement from Millstone on any expenses, either equipment or labor personnel or stipend personnel on anything that we do Millstone related.
Complete offset.
Yes,
So,
which it's been this way
forever.
forever.
So is the amount okay?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. The reason for that is it's a good operating budget, and as I've pledged to the Board of Finance for all these years doing this, we'll never extend that price. If I can't get it back for reimbursement, we won't extend it.
Don't go forward,
Great.
yeah.
All right. Unreimbursed equipment,
But
there is,
Dave, you
yeah.
probably want to comment on the composition of the 120. In there, there's, for the radio, portable radios, right?
That's a separate line item under
Oh,
the public safety communication.
It's in
upgrade.
two places. It's the 60
Oh, yes.
PS communication upgrade, but there's another
Yes.
within the 120.
Of that 120, again, being 100% reimbursable from the state for millstone-related activities and equipment, we're running parallel with this public safety communication system upgrade. We are utilizing town funds at $60,000 a year, and I'm earmarking $60,000 of the millstone funds to be able to purchase $120,000 worth of equipment every year. $60,000 of it would be part of that reimbursement. The other $60,000 is a town expense. We submitted that last year, and the state of Connecticut came back with, instead of stretching it out like this, they recommended that I do a large-scale capital request. We submitted that in for $225,000, which is the remaining 3 years of this project. The goal is, if they approve that, come July 1st, we'll be able to procure everything at one time, but staying within the $120,000
So,
for Millstone.
I'm a little
so
confused.
if we were to break it out,
Yeah.
60 is reimbursable 100%, so that just goes.
Correct.
60 is for town-related equipment.
Yes, town expensed equipment.
Yep. What is that for this coming year and then beyond?
It would be the continuation of purchasing mobile radios for all the public safety vehicles. We're transitioning over into what's called the P25 secured state system. It will allow more interoperability between mutual aid departments around the area and statewide with our public safety vehicles.
Just very specific to budget, right? So you got 60 grand that's attributable to equipment,
Mobile radios and portable radios.
and so 30 and 30?
Now, right now, we're trying to do the mobile fit outs to all the fire apparatus and ambulance equipment. And then once the mobile radios are installed in the vehicles, then be able to shift over and start buying the portable radios for the individuals operating it.
But isn't that already in their budgets?
I don't know.
We have 60 in there for 22-23 for PS communication upgrades.
Yes.
Did we use those funds?
We're in the process of doing it now.
We don't know what the balance is on that?
It will be zero or
It will
close
be.
to it.
Okay.
So,
Placed the order for the equipment back in January, when a decision was made on which vendor to go with. And we're still waiting on supply chain issues and delivery and programming.
Okay.
so Dave, 60 grand just for emergency management, right? For the equipment for the town?
Yep.
The town is related, or responsible for, rather. So that is gonna communicate with fire and EMTs, right?
Fire, EMS, police, public works within the and also emergency management within the community.
But that 60 grand, again, abstracting away from the use, that 60 grand, does that include units for those folks as well? Because they're separate budget items.
Hey, Dave,
Is my-
under the fire department,
Yeah.
portable radios, they've got a request for $2,000. So I wouldn't think it would all be part
No.
of the same thing at all.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't know, but it should be coordinated, is my point, right? So if we've got Dave coming in tonight and saying, hey, it's 60 grand for all this equipment, and then the cops, like, let's look at the police budget, and see what they've got budgeted as well. We don't want to double budget.
Understand. I do not know what the other agencies have put in specifics.
So, and you haven't talked to them either, which is fine. It's
We
fine.
have
Yeah.
communicated with all the public agencies, letting them know that we're moving forward with this, and they all agree that's a great idea. Go ahead and run with it.
Police, do you, Grim? I didn't
But
see it
your
in
number
police.
does not include the radios or the systems for those other departments. It's only the actual physical things that you're going to be purchasing for your department.
No.
No,
See, we're very-
the reverse.
Okay, so,
That the budget includes as a numerical, the numbers of radios include radios for the police, include radios for the firemen, include
Right.
radios.
okay.
So
Yeah.
that's Dave's question about.
Now,
counting.
the $2,000 that Grubby mentioned, that is probably for either repair parts or
For
components.
replacement of the units
Right.
they're having.
It's not much.
Yeah, but to Grubb's point, it doesn't seem like there's another big radio line item somewhere
No.
in their budget.
3 years.
And so the question is, what about the
I-
police,
I-
and what about
I think
Public
what,
Works, I think,
See
right?
anything in
Public
police.
Works.
And EMS.
Yeah.
Police doesn't show it.
Dave, I think what we need is a schedule. You hear mobile radios, you hear
Not
portable.
anything, right.
So we gotta say, how many of each?
Yep.
What do they cost? Spread them out. What departments do they go for?
Yep.
Because if you take 24 through 28, that equals 300,000. If there's a like amount in the 120 above, that's $600,000 for all this stuff. So if
That's a material number.
if the state's trying to front load it, that's a hell of a number to be in the next year or so.
Okay.
So,
I can give you a schedule.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because the mobiles are less expensive than their portables, right?
What is the difference?
One is almost $6,000, and the other one's almost $5,000, so technology has gotten so expensive now.
It would make more sense.
Radio is $5,000?
Yes.
It's probably wise to have them spaced out over time so you don't have to replace 25 of them.
But we have to
It's
get them.
$6,000 a piece. Yeah,
This
So-
doesn't really break it down at all.
So,
So,
okay, so that's that line item. 60 grand, we don't care about because it's one-to-one reimbursement.
the other 60 we do.
The other 60 we do.
Yeah, but you gotta do town share, it's 50/50. So if we spend 60 of the state's money, we have to spend 60 of our money.
No.
Not for the millstone reimbursement. So the equipment, there's two big buckets. One bucket is millstone reimbursement, right, Dave?
Yep.
Yes.
And that's 100% reimbursement.
But they buy the whole radio, or is there
They
a,
buy the whole radio. If I buy, I just placed an order for 13 mobile radios to $57,000 and change. Once we get those radios and we're able to receive them and send them out for programming, I will have the invoice. The invoice will get paid out of the Millstone account. And then in May, the reimbursement request for that $57,000 will go directly back to the state, and we'll receive that in the next fiscal year.
so if we space it out for a bunch of years, we don't have to have any town share?
We gotta see the schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see how it works.
All right, so that's that line item.
So you would like, just to recap on this, you'd like me to put together a schedule of mobile radio purchases, portable radio purchases by department,
Cost for each, present value.
by cost.
Anything that's covered in the equipment grant reimbursable.
Okay.
I mean,
And what does it cost for programming?
The programming's done by the state. The state owns the circuitry and the code plugging of all these radios. No matter which municipality buys them from either one or two vendors, they still are purchased and then handed to the state, and the state does the programming.
How much do they charge?
Nothing.
you're paying for it in other ways.
You're paying,
Yeah.
Don't get too excited.
Pay Connecticut tax.
Okay, so that's the 120.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
How do you want me to get this back to you? And how do you want me to get this back to you, and what timeline would you like it back?
Before next week.
Yeah.
Well, let's work
Next week
on
is kind of final.
And
Okay,
Yeah.
we can get it next week.
okay.
Our meeting
Yeah,
is
next
Tuesday,
week.
Friday.
So an email
Okay.
by Monday.
Yeah, send us an email before the weekend so we
Okay.
can at least look at
So
it.
you'll take an email and a breakout?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's it,
All
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's great.
Michelle, you'd be able to help me with the transmission of all of these fine individuals with emails? Thank you.
And she's really reliable.
I know she is. Okay. That was easy.
On that one. Okay. Inventory functional capabilities.
Anything else?
Nope.
For Mr. Roberts? We good? Thank you very much.
You want to talk about the building and the grant?
Well, if you want to preview it, yes.
Okay, I can preview it.
There's nothing to do in this budget year, right?
Nothing to do in this budget year. A lot to do depending upon the 23-24 budget.
Well, that's the
That's
budget
the
we're
one.
working
That's the
on.
budget.
That's what we're saying.
Then
No,
you-
there is.
There is.
Is this something new?
So look at the statement.
Paperless, metalless staples. Yes, I do.
Need one more down here.
Okay.
Dave, we need one.
I'll take one too, Dave, if you have it. Over here, thank you.
Anybody else?
This is the agenda.
Those are our agendas.
Oh,
Giving you the agenda for
okay, here's one.
Okay.
Hold on.
Did you want this?
Whatever.
That's just my note.
It's okay, I'll just sit back and listen.
Do you want Matt and I to share?
Yeah,
And then we'll copy it.
okay,
All right,
there you go.
thank you.
All right, as I mentioned earlier at last month's meeting,
I'll give it back to you.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Copy, Catherine?
I'm fine, I'll listen.
Matt, thank you.
Thank you.
for the last 3 years, I've been applying for a congressional discretionary grant for an emergency operations center upgrade.
For how long?
Last 3 years. This year, we got accepted. Three other communities in the state of Connecticut also received it. The dollar value for what we applied for consecutively for the last 3 years was $944,000. Of that, this year we got the award and moving forward with it, but now it's a 75-25 match. The past applications used to be 100%. So looking at that, the federal portion of this is $708,000. The local 25% match is $236,000. When we discussed this at the last budget meeting with you guys, you asked for some preliminary soft idea of numbers. I reached out to a consultant or a contractor, and they provided the information on those 3 pages. This is just a schematic budget report. They ran a full analysis of all the construction activities that would be involved, broke them out by discipline, and came up with an estimated timeline of 4 months or 120 calendar days of construction, with an guesstimated cost right now of $869,361, or based on $608 per square foot. So that reassures me that my grant request was in similar numbers. The original numbers that I did run was back in 2018, where construction costs were a hell of a lot lower. But we're still within some of a guesstimated window. On the second and third page, kind of gives you a little illustration of what it may look like at the Boughton Road Fire Station. Looking at a bump out for operational area, keeping the remainder of the building intact with the conference room, the communications room, the bathrooms, et cetera, et cetera. The room size on this is a little large. It's 1,429 square feet, which is about 28 by 36. I estimate the actual construction size of this being about 900 to 1,000 square feet, or being 30 by 30 or 30 by 35. But the architectural illustrations here kind of depict what it could look like.
You think that the 1,000 would be enough square footage?
Yes.
And therefore, the estimate may be an overestimate because he's basing it on square footage.
Correct.
And when you talked to Brian, what was his level of confidence in his estimate? I mean, it's so preliminary that it's hard to get
It's not,
accurate estimate?
it's not a hard number, but it's pretty guesstimated accurate number.
There's a lot of cushion in $608.
Yes, there is.
A square foot for this type of structure.
Especially at 1,400 if we only need 1,000.
Right. Yeah. So Dave, I think your point is if the town were to match and were to agree to the 236,
right,
that would give us 944 for a budget. You've got an estimate for 869.
Correct.
So when would you like to start the project, finish the project?
Looking at this, I still have a mound of paperwork that I have with deadlines to return to the state and return to the feds. One is reevaluate or re-estimating, or not re-estimating, but rewriting my descriptions of the project, answering those questions that they're asking now in more detail. How will the project benefit the community, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
When would you like to break ground on it, though?
I would like to break ground sometime next spring, 2024.
So, what are you asking the Board of Finance for, the Board of Selectmen?
Well-
And has the Board of Selectmen seen this at all?
No, this is
Yeah.
all pretty new.
Which is fine, by the
Yeah.
way. So, yeah.
But with the smaller frame, these numbers are gonna be different,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay? So, I mean,
Well, looking at it as trying to, I think, looking at it from a construction standpoint, in my eyes, moving forward with this, if it is something the Board of Selectmen, presenting to them, asking them to bless this, or say, yes, this is a worthy project, or we give the money back to the feds. Moving forward with is formulating a building committee and doing a request for proposal for architecture, and start coming up with a realistic architecture and construction.
So we just have a timing.
Yeah, right, yeah.
We gotta finalize the budget.
It's
But I
process
think
related,
that
yeah.
we're talking about the right process. The Board of Selectmen has to say yes.
Mhm.
I'd be disappointed if we couldn't take advantage of the 75% grant. But assuming that this is a useful facility.
For something we
town,
Yeah.
And that we need it. So you get the blessing from the Board of Selectmen, and then maybe sharpen the pencil a little bit on the numbers, right? There's such a big variance between the 1,000 feet and 1,420 and blah, blah, blah. In other words, I think we want to end up including a reasonable amount in the budget, but not a ridiculous
No,
overestimate.
but also looking at it as you know, you're going through this with the senior center right now. Being able to, they had to have some kind of blessing from the Board of Selectmen to move forward. They had to formulate a building committee, and they had to reach out and do requests for proposals and hire a architect. Once they got to the architect's point, being able to come up with the realistic or somewhere
Yeah,
of
right.
this.
They're way ahead of.
They're way ahead of me.
Yeah.
We've got to do a little back of the envelope stuff.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that to approve 236 tonight seems premature and
Yeah.
too much.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
Yes, it's preliminary approved. Now, finishing off all the paperwork for final approval and submittal to the,
So
open up the floodgates.
it's pretty early.
After it's already been approved, like, can you change, like, not scope, but say you say, oh, it was approved for this, we're changing the building size from 1,400 to 1,000.
Or we're changing the use, or...
Changing the use, it would be questionable. Changing the physical size wouldn't be an issue.
especially reducing it, I wouldn't think would hurt.
But Dave, also, you get the FF&E and some of the architectural work is reimbursable by the grant?
Yes, as it states on that piece of paper that I handed you. No, that one, the one with the highlights. The federal amount's 75%, 25% matches local total. The project total, the project sum equals the federal amount plus the 25% match. Town should prepare a detailed budget for construction of your project. We also get to charge local M&A, which is management administration funding costs. So we can add that into our portion of the town's expense. Looking at it for FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, this is, my theory here is to build a 1,600 square foot white box. Structurally sound, watertight, open floor plan, and then utilize millstone monies to do the FF&E. And I estimate fitting it out with electronics, furniture, equipment, carpeting, paint, window dressings, all of that is about 120, give or take between $120,000 and $150,000. That would be counted as the town's match because the town physically has to write the check. which in turn we're able to get reimbursed by the state, and I'm not restricted, as they stated in that notice, I can't match it with other federal funds, but I can match it with Millstone funds. I cannot match.
Yeah, as long as we're good.
I can't use.
We come out on the good end.
And you will. I can't use EMPG funds, but I can use Millstone funds.
So this would go to the Board of Selectmen?
Yeah, so it is very preliminary.
Yeah.
This is great and helpful in the past, projects, sometimes they show up and that night you gotta put on stuff, et cetera.
Yeah, no.
So we got time, and it also looks like the grant exceeds what could potentially be the cost for the time being, so that's a good thing. Keep us apprised, and if we gotta go to, it's not gonna make this budget season, but if we gotta go to town meeting, that's probably where we end up.
Did he mention the grant, I guess this needs to be done 3 years from when you start?
Once we get all the preliminary federal hurdles out of the way, and one of those hurdles is I have to do an environmental historical study of the site.
Do we need to budget that?
Yes, we do.
That's small money. We did it for the bridge, and it was like $2,000.
Right, but I'm just thinking, we can't push all of this off.
No,
you need some.
But I'm going to need, as we move forward with this, I'm going to need funding to be able to do that EH&S study. And I'd like
You're going to have architects, you're going to have estimators.
Right.
So it's probably $40,000 worth of work in the next budget year, this coming budget year.
In 23-24.
Before you break ground.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Is there any resource with the state emergency management folks that might advise you on how big you should have this thing and what should go in it?
No, there's federal guidelines, there's state guidelines, and depending upon the type of municipality, the operational use of the space is all independent to each community. We've operated in that cubicle up there since 2010, and every year.
But depending on who you get for the architect, unless they do this type of building often.
All I want is a white box.
Well, how big, it's...
30 by 30 or 34 by, or 30 by, 35 by 35.
You're not going to need plumbing.
Nope.
And, but it just seems to me, it's not going to be as easy as just say, make me a white box. You got to figure out what's going to go in it and where it goes and the electrical and HVAC and all that. And I guess once you get an architect, but I guess they'd have to be skilled in this kind of a project. It's different than building for a business building, perhaps.
Sure.
I don't know.
This is like medical office type of.
Actually, it's not as detailed as medical. It would be more as you're looking at block wall construction. Mm-hmm. You're looking at brick veneer exterior. You're looking at a hurricane-resistant wind load on the roof. You're looking at hurricane-resistant windows on the new addition. You're looking at a slab on grade with carpet materials. You're looking at electrical wiring interior with data drops and data chases, where in the future additional data poles or electrical poles can be done either through concealed channels or concealed chases.
Or on sleepers.
Yeah. Or suspended ceiling and run everything above and beyond.
Yeah.
Demolition costs on this is very insignificant. Basically, you're opening up one wall, taking one window out, and creating from a window to a walk.
It never seems that complicated, but we got a 9-foot bridge that's $1.4 million 18 months ago.
Yeah.
So, But,
I understand.
but the facts are, as presented tonight, in my view, are good. Hey, we've got funding that's well in excess of a building that's well in excess of what we're probably gonna end up with, et cetera. So, but importantly, for our job, for the budget this year, if this needs some planning, it needs some funding, you know, for estimation and everything else, we need to know that so we can put it in the budget.
Then I would suggest, let me get on the next Board of Selectmen's agenda to be able to present this opportunity to them and have a discussion with the Board of Selectmen to determine exactly what if they approve the project and they want to push it forward, and two, if they're willing to identify a dollar value to get us started, and then bring back to the Board of Finance.
Absolutely, we need to finance some soft costs.
Right.
You don't want to go to a town meeting.
No.
For the soft costs,
Yeah.
yeah.
And what would you anticipate those soft costs being, besides architectural?
I mean, just,
Testing? I think.
well, you're gonna have estimation, because the architecture, you gotta, you know, somebody's gonna have concepts, and then they gotta price them out for you for the preliminary bid, and,
Yep.
You're
so-
doing that with the senior center now, softball, so
Yeah,
Jim's got a good handle on it.
so, I mean, it's 30 to 40 grand probably, which is above the 20 grand that we could approve if it
Right.
came to us and we hadn't already dealt with it in
Okay.
the budget, so.
So, looking forward, I will approach the Board of Selectmen.
Just get a consensus, and we're not finished tonight, unfortunately. We've still
Oh,
got.
I understand.
Back to us.
No, I wouldn't.
No, but next week, we need to be finished.
Next
Okay.
Tuesday.
And so.
When is the next Board of
Tuesday.
Selectmen's meeting?
In April, so I guess.
April 3rd.
Special meeting.
Can you schedule, is it able to schedule a special meeting for this?
Probably.
Okay.
Say, how is it?
Okay. Appreciate it.
Dave, when are the paperwork done for your preliminary, and if so, does it include most of these federal grants that we have a town, minutes from a town, a meeting, a board of selectmen meeting, saying that they would approve the grant? Do you need that for your preliminary?
I have not gotten that much detail back from the state on what they need yet.
Okay.
Probably down the road.
So it would be a good thing to
Yeah.
accept it at the
Yep.
meeting next week.
Because what they are noting as of, and I received this email from the state today, under the project total comment, project total is the amount of the federal amount plus the 25% match. Town should prepare a detailed budget for the construction of your project. And that's as far as they've gone, to let us know what's coming.
So when is that due?
That one they haven't put a timeline on. The questionnaire that I received today has to be back to the state by April 15th, for them to review it, process it, fluff it, polish it, and then send it off to the feds by May 15th.
Okay.
Less than 60 days.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Your home.
I tried. Better than the first time I ever came here.
A lot more homework coming up.
Looking for people in.
Huh?
When was it?
2004.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you know anybody who knows how to fix chairs? This arm's loose. Hate to see it get broken.
Saber Strip Shop. I've got a guy.
Get against the wall, the other one was.
Right.
Which is it?
No, I can't get it off the wall. Wait a minute.
There was one that for 2 weeks was
Yeah.
leaning against the wall with a sign on it that said glued, don't touch.
Tax abatements.
Yeah,
Sort of hit that last week, right? But no.
yeah, I
We
think
were waiting on
we did get a statement from
Hope. Yep.
pending Limewood. So the 100% ratio, I think works out pretty well. Melinda, you know, we would then, for our budget, have the equivalent dollar amount, put on that block where we take offsets from the grand list.
Right. So that'll be part of the overall budget that we vote upon.
Well, if you want to vote the percentages, we could then talk with her about what the tax consequence is based on the percentages.
Sure. So it was 80-20 for Limewood, I'm sorry, 80% for Limewood.
For Ryfield and Limewood, and 100 for, which is land.
So, entertain a motion for the abatements as described by Mr. Greenwood.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Debate, conversation. I think BJ had some good comments last.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Well, no, not on Hope, but talking about for...
Question I have is that's what we've given.
Yeah, in the past.
So it's pretty much the same as last year.
Yeah, be 900.
It is, but it has changed.
I don't know how they're managed now.
Yeah, because I went through, this was like 12 years ago, sitting down with Fanny Ola and looking at these two. I guess it's probably good. I can't remember whether we voted on this historically, but to memorialize it is a smart thing so that we can go back to it next year. It's not a tab.
It's not a tab.
It's on the big sheet, not in the in the budget book itself. It's part of the overall kind of tax calculation. So with that, is there any further discussion or comments or anything?
The question I remember from last week, whenever it was, has to do with the folks who were in arrears. Is it Hope that is in arrears in terms of paying their taxes? And have we gotten financial statements from all three of them that,
as I mentioned,
numbers make sense?
We do not have Limewood as yet. We have Ryfield and Hope. And anyone wants to look at them, we can share them with you.
Well, I guess the question is, when you look at the financial statements and you plug these numbers in, do the numbers add up? Do the numbers work?
I don't know about add up. I think Hope actually had quite a stunning increase because they got a big fat grant from the state of Connecticut for Spencer Corner over there in Essex, Centerbrook. So they're looking much healthier.
So they'll pay their arrears?
Well, I think that might be a conversation to say maybe you could shake a couple of pennies loose. You see, they're going to still cling to the idea that any costs associated with what they do on the taxes would have to be passed on to the tenants, which we have 3 houses.
Not if they're that healthy.
But, you see, I think between Walter Kent and Melinda, there was a change in the way things worked, and there was a year where they had to pay taxes. They paid one half, but then they didn't pay the other half. And since they were getting one percentage or another from the town, so this has been unresolved all these years, and it's been an annoyance, and of course, it's clicking away with interest. I'm not really 100% sure whether the town has the discretion of forgiving these taxes that have been assessed. So,
are we just ignoring it then? I mean, do we try to communicate with them during the year making the request?
I talked to her recently and said, she's aware of it, the new director.
And Hope. You're talking about Hope.
So when we see the delinquent list, it'll be
you're saying Hope got a grant, so they got a bunch of money.
Time to pay your bill.
Right. On land, which is...
Whatever it is, they ought to clean it up, that they got cash in the bank to do that.
I'm
now,
just
I
saying,
don't know if it was an 80% abatement, whether the 20% would become an obligation of the owner of the improvements.
But that's a different question. I mean,
that's their problem.
What we're saying is, if they owe taxes and they have some money, please try to collect it. In terms of the abatement, I guess my question is simple, whether the Board of Selectmen recommends it or approves this 80/80/100 the Board of Selectmen does, and I'm gonna vote for it.
Was there conversation on that?
Selectmen, you
Yeah.
approve it?
We haven't voted on it
Well, it needs to be.
since March.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen the financial. Have you got the financials yet?
For Hope we have, yeah. And Limewood. Wrightfield.
Byfield.
Yeah.
And-
Historically, when we've looked at Limewood and Ryfield,
Very.
it's pretty tight. Oh, yeah, yeah. Ryfield's in better shape than Limewood, but Limewood's got like
And I'm not
8
sure.
bridges.
Faniola was
Didn't know that.
the main man there, and now he's out of the picture. I don't know who it goes to.
Faniola? Yeah, I'm not sure.
All right.
So, I mean, Tim, what you have suggested is what has been usual and customary, is that right?
Yes, we would endeavor to get the thing paid. I think it's an obligation, and maybe we just say, look, you come into some riches with respect to that central corner. I don't know if there's a way, it's probably under $7,000 they were talking about.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking process-wise to dispense with this. If it's usual and customary, the 80, 80, 100 that we have done, BJ said, hey, has the Board of Selectmen approved this? And, you guys haven't talked and voted on it, but there's a motion on the table, I think, for the 80, 80, 100. So I'd like to just finish that up, if we could. So,
I'm looking through the minutes from last week. So the total abatement for Ryfield is $22,000, Limewood is $22,000, and Hope is $7,000. So,
Okay.
so
Just
there's an
quantify
order
it.
of magnitude difference between, even though
It's many more units.
Tax dollars or the valuation?
that's
That's the same
the
number.
abatement, the
Right.
tax dollars, I assume.
But the 22 and 22 are for many more units,
Oh, yeah, there's,
3 that Hope has.
I think,
So it's
24
not,
units in Limewood and maybe
Yeah.
60 in Wrightfield.
So there is a motion on the table. It has been seconded. Any further discussion or questions?
so I'm clear, the motion is for the 80, 80, 100, which does not include the delinquent amount owed.
No,
That's a separate issue. Okay, yeah.
I mean, the Board of Selectmen is going to need to have a special meeting to discuss Dave Roberge's items. And would it, process-wise, make sense to ask the Board of Selectmen to put this on the agenda for that special meeting as
To
well?
resolve it.
Yeah.
That would be a quick vote at the next meeting.
I personally would favor continuing the abatement in the percentages, and,
That's what's on the motion is for.
yeah, and obviously we want to clean this other thing up. I mean, I guess we could threaten them saying,
Well, let me ask a practical question. If it's the 3 of you guys in a room, is it going to be 80, 80, 100, or no?
Like past practice, I mean, the last 2 years it's been 51, so total, so I don't see why it would change.
Yeah, we need to start finishing some things
I
up,
think
you
we
know?
should put on the agenda to how we're gonna handle the past due, and get a letter out to them and say, if you really want the abate, we put it in, but
Yeah.
for you to actually get it, you gotta take up your back.
That makes all the sense in the world, but the 80, 80, 100, if we can vote on that tonight, would be great.
Yeah.
I think we should vote on it, and if.
Well, we have to.
If the Board of,
Unless-
we have to, there's a vote,
Yeah.
motion on the table. If the Board of Selectmen changes its mind at this meeting, we can change it.
Great point. Yeah. Okay.
We're glad you're here.
Further discussion, et cetera? Okay, move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Abstentions? Great, motion carries. The vagaries of Limewood, Limefield, and Hope.
Takes up way too much time.
All right, what do we got? General government registrars and then infotech.
If I'm remembering right, Jen Datum going to try and get us better numbers
Yes.
based on, did we get
Did
those?
she?
I don't know.
Registrar's numbers. Nothing
Jen was
new.
going to put together some estimates of what it would cost if there's early voting, because we wanted to include enough to accommodate that if the legislature passes it.
And we did not have anywhere close to
No.
a number that made intuitive sense, at least.
I'm taxpayer.
Thank you.
Infotech, I'll put in my notes.
When Andy's not here.
I think the operating budget, actually,
Didn't we discuss the Tom Meyer salary versus or included with the contractual services?
contracted services in,
IT. Infotech consultant, I guess I want to call it. Right, but we were trying to figure out, I thought, whether Tom is going to be dedicated IT, and if that's the case, the salary apportionment.
It was already up there, Infotech part-time coordinator, the first line, 51.
Right, but he's also doing,
but he's doing project management
he's
for
doing
other-
facilities.
Well,
We
yeah,
weren't
facilities.
sure
We
which
already passed,
part-time job.
under Town Hall, we passed the facilities. We put in money for the facilities management, 50,000, which was
Right.
approved.
That's for him, but is...
No, that's for a different
To be
person.
hired.
So
Okay,
I'm going back to our minutes from last week, just to try to
Thank
remember
you.
why this was tabled. So we discussed the CT comp within the
Right.
consultant line, as it had increased from 82 to 123.
Correct.
And I think we were looking for some more information around that increase, and that was why we decided to table it.
That sounds right.
yes, it
And I
does.
wonder whether Andy was going to do that.
I don't remember.
Or Tom was,
Or
or-
Tom.
Right, and
That was
neither
a
one of them are
35-minute
here tonight.
Conversation,
Yeah,
so.
I don't remember who was getting that information.
And so that it needed to go out to bid, perhaps, or at least get a competitive.
Down in.
No, I know that, but, I mean, for such an increase in the future,
Well, I guess the police thing is in this year's budget, but is there any residual, Matt, is there any residual police next year?
I have to look at the IT thing, off the top of my head, if it's anything, it's minimal.
Yeah,
So it's 80,000 this year, so I don't think it's minimal in the capital for next year. I don't see any.
so,
we put it off till next week? I mean, I feel silly doing anything about it without the information that we
Right.
talked about.
I mean, we had talked about, I think Tim or someone getting information from CT Comp to back up that increase.
Right.
well, Tom was supposed to have met with them like
Right.
the day after
Right.
the
yeah.
meeting, so,
I'm texting.
Thank you,
Mark, we
Martha.
for the moment move to sanitation, since Martha's texting both those people, and keep moving forward and see if we get more information.
yeah, thank you. Nice move.
Thank you. Good move.
I know there was an email that
You can raise your hand anytime.
Tom had sent about the OpEx stuff and why the prices changed. To get the capital,
So let's go to,
Does anybody know whether that, the consulting contract is for a term and whether it's terminable without cause?
I think it's a 1-year term without, well, I don't know about that.
I
It
think
could
it is
be after
1 year.
1 month.
In other
They
words,
owe them 12 months worth of.
I'm certainly more comfortable approving something in advance if we find out we can terminate it
Yeah.
and get locked into it.
So I have an answer on registrar. Kathy was away, Jen, and she had their first opportunity to talk today. They have projected estimates, but they don't have the final information from the state yet, because that's on the early voting. So she said right now they have a low, medium, and high. She didn't give me numbers, but.
she may not be in a position to if she comes.
But the state is not going to get resolved until vote, and that could be,
But maybe
4 weeks, could be 6
maybe
weeks.
they're sending them projections, possible projections, is they know people have to fit in their budget.
I was going to say, they don't care.
So from last week's meeting, Jen had said if it's passed before April 15th, then early voting can happen this year. If it doesn't pass by April 15th, then it looks like it doesn't have financial.
They wouldn't even do it for the presidential. They'd skip that too.
They'd skip the president, so it wouldn't happen for 2 years.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the thought.
Right, but we wouldn't know until April 15th.
After our hearing.
Martha, can you text her and just ask what her high might be, or she and Kathy's combined high?
Yep.
Because if it's like
We can
$7
put it in and
grand
change it.
or something, let's do it.
Yeah. And
I'm
adjust.
guessing if the high is $7,000, they wouldn't have given us a low and medium too.
What did you
Yeah.
have?
So, next,
Jen's actually listening to the meeting.
Oh, good.
So maybe she could jump on and actually talk with us.
you there, Jen?
She might be on mute. Or
No, I'm on mute. I just unmuted myself. Yes. So,
Now we can
Yeah.
hear you.
all right,
Okay.
wonderful. So Kathy and I only had a chance to discuss it today because of the meeting last week being on Wednesday. Kathy was away for a little bit, and so we met today just really briefly for about an hour, and we did some calculations based on the 3 different time frames that the state has given, with the lowest being 10 days and the highest being 18 days.
Yeah.
And so for 18 days, we estimate an additional $12,960 basically to pay workers to staff the times that they're going to be projecting that we might have to be open for.
Right.
14 days would be $10,000, and 10 days, which is the low end, would be $7,200.
Wait, so what's the 18-day again?
$12,960, so $13,000 essentially.
And that would be
In addition to the budgeted amount we already have for the election.
Okay.
Okay, so that's $15,000 on the elections line?
That's our current amount, correct?
Yep. Yeah, so in addition to that.
Yes. hmm
Okay.
Because the election line would be just for the one day of election that we would typically have.
Mm-hmm.
plus 13.
Well, yeah, where do we put this? I guess it doesn't really matter because
I'd
we're
put it
passing the
under
registrar.
Put it under election.
I'd put it at
But
the
there's
bottom.
primaries, there's...
And at the end of the year, you can...
I mean, do we add another line for early voting?
No, I think it
No,
just
just put
I don't think it
election.
should be broken out into primaries and
It's part of the election process.
Yeah.
referenda and
Like
everything,
elections
and election.
line.
I think that should just be one line item, so.
Under elections?
Say that 28.
I think we just put it
28.
under elections.
So 28 under election.
Right.
Yeah.
04.
But you have to remember also, if I could remind you that it depends on if it's going to be for the election and the primary, so that amount needs to go for each one of those. It's going to be early voting. And then if it's going to be for...
The next one.
Yeah,
We have a start.
Jen, it's okay from a budget perspective. The line that we are targeting is the bottom line anyway. So
Okay.
it's not good
Well,
to...
so if there
No,
has to
but
be a
it's Jen
presidential
saying,
primary,
so
That would be the next.
If we take the middle
That would be
number,
the
say
expensive budget year.
$10,000,
Or
That was
13.
a high.
Right.
by 10,000 times.
10,000 is the middle number, yeah.
Because there's going to be more than one
Oh.
early voting
Because the
vote,
primary
is that what you're saying? If we have a primary early voting,
Is it
and
August?
an election early voting, and a
Correct.
referendum?
This year,
Yeah, so that's her point because we've broken this out so finely. Whereas my point is, let's just put it in elections.
No, it's not that. It's that, is it a one-time charge?
When the election is.
primaries are usually in August, haven't they been?
Fiscal year.
Yeah, I believe so.
Well, the question
I
is,
think
does the presidential
municipal-
primary fall in the next
In the new
year?
Okay, that's the kind of question I'm
Yeah.
raising.
municipal.
I would put in,
Right, so
Yeah, that's a Google.
I think what I'm trying to point out is not where it goes in the budget, but that if we have to do 10 days, 14 days, or 18 days of early voting for an election, we'll also have to do 10, 14, or 18 on a primary.
Got it.
Possibly
Right.
on referendum and special elections as well. Although Kathy did say there might be a 5-day early voting period for referenda. So again, there's so many variables that we don't know. We just need to kind of build in.
Right. I mean, so we're potentially
possibility.
looking at like $45,000.
Wow.
If you
That's
count
just-
all four, we don't know if there'll be a
Right.
primary. We don't know how many referendum there'll be.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you can't predict.
Right.
Right. And there's also additional costs, like we'll have to order more ballots in addition to like staffing costs, although that's fairly minor in the scheme of things.
And we can deal with that.
Yeah. It's mostly the staffing. If you are open 12 hours a day for early voting, if you're open 8 hours a day for early voting, paying 2 people, to sit there and accept the early voting. We don't know how many people will come to early voting, but it doesn't matter. You still have to staff it.
Any word on the primary?
Presidential primary would be April 30th.
Okay,
So you
so
could
that's
end up
another.
with 2.
Yeah.
So
In
that's
this
actually
budget
2.
year. Yeah.
So,
We put
Good
in
point.
a bug number, whether it's 20 or 30,000.
I'd put,
well, that's 26 right there.
right, so go
If you
to,
use the high number.
If you use the high number.
Yeah.
And so 15 is what we've got in that elections line, which it doesn't have to go there. I'm just suggesting that.
I think
So-
it's-
Yeah, well, I think, well, you could
Account for it.
or add the
15
same
plus-
13 to the primaries line.
okay.
That would be 20,500 for that line.
And so that's in total 26 grand
grand.
more, 96. So that's
You changed, I'm sorry, referenda,
123.
primary to 20,500, and you changed elections to what?
28.
13,000 on each.
Yeah, add 13,000 to 28.
Mhm.
Yeah.
23048. Is that right?
23.
23048. Because we just increased it by
Right.
26 grand,
Got it.
so.
123 what?
048. I'll make a motion to move the 123,048 for registrar.
Seconded.
Any further discussion, questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. Abstentions, motion carries. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you very much, Jen. Appreciate that.
Good night.
Good night.
Tom just needs a couple of minutes, but he'll call in as well. He gave him all the information. He and Andy sat down and went through the information, but Andy's not here.
Right.
So
We'll call back.
he'll call in.
Okay, good.
All right, we'll talk about sanitation in the meantime. Or lack thereof here in Connecticut.
Well, at least it's not Paris.
It's
Yeah,
not
I
fair,
saw
that's
that.
true. You faisons la grève.
And wait,
Municipal refuse collection.
a lot of notes on this page. Table.
We have confirmation from Mr. Manafort that the 4-year plan is acceptable. For the next year, it will be $590,946. Call it 591
That's what
even.
we had last year.
And then in the out years, which, we're not doing in our budget at this point, but it would be the 4% increase. So it'll be 614, 584. In the 26 year, it'd be 639,167. And the final year would be 664,734.
591 for this current, the next,
I'm rounding it up. If you're
23,
precise number is
I want to
599,
know what to
Yeah.
stick in the budget. So,
591,000.
okay, and then it's just going to inflate by 4% a year.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
But generally, I think we round these up to make them even, closest
We're
out,
good.
type of thing.
We're good.
But for this next year, 591.
Mm-hmm.
Single
The
stream.
selectmen voted to proceed with the extension, and we're going to, as concurrently, there was a communication from Casella, that they are increasing their fees for the stuff that comes out of the transfer station. So it would be a good conversation to have about what you might do vis-à-vis the stuff at the transfer station, but that's a separate matter.
What Manafort would do for us.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the other two numbers that we had there, Tim, were single stream recycling 135 is what I've got.
Yep.
Me too.
And then 300 for
The MSW
Yep.
disposal.
Yeah.
Are those still good?
Yep.
Okay,
So the total is 1,026,000?
correct.
Yep.
1,026,000?
Yep.
I'll entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion, questions, et cetera? Move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, CapEx. This might be a line item by line item, I think,
Maybe.
given
Yeah.
number of changes and
Do we know if Tom's on
He's
that?
gonna text me as soon as he's.
Okay, thanks.
Tom's got operating and
Yeah.
capital.
Is that all? Have this right?
Page 1, general fund. So Tim, do you have the capital budget before you?
Yes. Okay, well, we had a little bit of a session just before you all arrived, and it was our suggestion that the Art Association be kept at 10,000, which is what they had previously. And, you know, that there was some concern about having this be constant. There have been occasions where the board has approved help on a capital campaign type thing, but inasmuch as agencies are getting annual stipends, then, you know, having it go forever as a capital seems to be contrary to what we do with the rest of them, so. The hydrographic for the harbor management, you may recall, we did approve a similar number, an increase to 5,000, I think, in the operating budget. So this seems to be somewhat redundant. I'm not sure if there are different, you know, they have contracted services and want to have money for an occasional study or something. So this,
They had 5,000, I think, in their operating budget.
right, and this, at 10, this would seem to be,
And I think
Sure.
I think they just split it because it was $5,000 when I talked with Mike Presti about it. It was $5,000 per survey is what they budgeted, and so they've got 3 surveys here.
Black
I
Hall's,
don't know why they would put it into capital.
Black Hall's already been done in this year, because Harbor Management took it out of their deposit account,
Yeah,
so that Black Hall can be scrubbed. So I guess 4 Mile River, which is a dredging possibility, and the moorings.
I think that was, that's what the hydrographic report is to consider dredging. Their upgrade budget has contracted service at 5,000 is what we approved on the 15th.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is over and above, and it's for a hydrographic survey that could result in work. It could be a bigger project, so it's in capital. Okay. And then the $60,000 is a little bit of,
Well, we were talking about, since probably this next fiscal year, the dock will not be built. So in order to provide for some permitting and maybe a split rail fence and some signage and stuff, I think maybe even at this meeting, we talked about cutting the 60 to 20 and maybe having, just as a placeholder, 60 in the 25 budget year, if the dock permitting and all that goes well, and sees what the costs are. I mean, if that dock is substantially more expensive, it might be a question. But at least for this coming year, it would give them some money, and I think Open Space even indicated they have a few dollars to help pay for stuff.
Yep.
Ready.
Pushes and not split rail fence,
Yeah.
is what he said.
Yeah, so I had that they had made a compromise, this is from when Dave and I met with Greg. They'd compromised that harbor management would be responsible for the dock, and Open Space would deal with things to do with the land, meaning signage and some sort of fence or barrier.
Yeah.
But open space, we didn't budget anything.
We didn't budget anything with Open Space.
Yeah.
Well, he said,
Fence or a little bit of signage can come out of miscellaneous.
right, he said he thought he could deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess if we thought the fence should be something that should happen next year, but maybe the permitting of the dock, you could maybe have two lines, one for each commission.
I think, yeah, but,
You know, if you want to combine it as one project, that,
to move it along, 20 grand seems fine,
Yeah.
and if they need more,
Absolutely.
we can deal with it, yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
then we've got,
So, did you keep the 5 or did you change it to 10 for the hydrant back?
kept that at 10.
Okay.
are we going to keep that at 10 for the
Yeah.
studies?
That's what we had.
Huh?
Yeah, because, well, one of the three have been done.
Were you suggesting something different?
We had
We had
talked
talked about 5,000. I mean, how many studies do they need to do in a year?
Well, there's two parcels there, so is that $5,000 each or five
Well,
for
you got
both?
4 Mile and Cabs Island. I mean,
5 grand was for one, when
I know.
I'm Mike Preston.
Right, and
so-
this is 3, and we've eliminated one, so.
Well, I tell you, you're going to be back at this table cutting stuff. I can guarantee you right
We already know that, Jim.
now.
Yep.
So 10, so 5 instead of 10?
We can put 5 and 5 in the next year, maybe.
Yep.
Are you talking hydrographic?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, because execution is the bigger problem. It's not funding these things, so. All right, so,
Button Ball Dock and permitting?
yep. So
What's that?
that goes down to 20.
No, but, okay, I'm,
2040.
340? Is that 20? Oh, okay, I'm off here. 10.
Yeah, we pushed 60 out.
Yeah.
40 out.
No, he said 60. He
No,
said
it'll be-
60, he didn't say
It'll be
40.
10,000, 5,000, and 20,000 in that cluster.
Okay, that's what we're working on.
And then what about next year, Tim?
We're dealing with,
24, 25.
Well, 5,000 and 60,000. And drop the 10 on the repetitive 10, get that out of there. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
my opinion, but I mean,
okay, take that out.
Okay? All right.
gazebo
I see what you put.
goes,
There's too many conversations here. So 20 goes to 10, and then next year it's out. Okay,
It's 20, yeah.
okay. Okay.
trailer goes,
Wait, so, yep. Gazebo,
Totally eliminated the
Okay.
cost.
Yeah, that's gone.
it's just,
trailer porta potties, we talked about, out.
they're all,
Benches, transportation, and planters, we talked about.
like, keep the benches, ditch the planters.
Benches.
Well,
I'd moved the planners to next year. It's just what I had from last week, but
okay. Unless, I'm taking notes, and unless somebody feels very strongly about it, I mean, it's going to be, we'll be here all night debating things.
Yeah.
And
Got a lot of zeros, so that's good.
under the open space, this Eklund Pond, Ferry Road, or however they want to call it, would,
That's at 22 now for this year.
And then 12.5.
12.5 for next year.
Where are you? Which?
That's the open space, Ferry
Page
Road
one.
Wildlife Refuge.
they were talking 14.5 for the pond, and then there was more money that they wanted for some other stuff, right?
That's right.
Right.
So it was total of 22, is that correct?
Yeah.
But wasn't it, the 14?
14.5 was urban.
One year, one the next year, wasn't it?
That's
No,
12, that's the
It was
12.5.
all in this year. It's mechanical harvesting and then.
That's an
herbicide.
operating, not
It was both.
the operating budget?
No, it's
No?
No.
Okay.
So
So the total,
the Eklund thing is 14.5 next year and 12
For this year.
following year.
Yeah.
But then they had another
12.5 for next year.
amount made next year, 22,000, up from 14.5.
Where are you going to? Right there. Under,
They
yeah,
had 7,500.
This is from
something else
November.
down there.
yeah, so that's,
That was here yearly, wasn't it?
What was that extra 7,500 for the Eklund Pond?
yeah, it
besides-
should come under
Or
that top part.
mine is from,
Oh, let me find there.
Yep.
What was the extra 7,500 for Eklund beyond
It's
the
on the back.
Pragmates?
Oh, it's things like the drones and,
Right.
things they'd like to do for maintenance and the project of it. It's not just the Phragmites.
So the 14 was
Herbicides,
just for
things like that.
Phragmites.
Yeah.
So it's upland invasive removal.
got it there.
Plant, soil, and supplements.
Yep.
Labor, plant protection, water testing, and photography.
Right.
Okay, so, good. So that would be a total of 22 for
Correct.
Eklund,
yep.
Yep.
12.5 in the out year. Next year.
All right, next page.
That's it for that page.
Yep.
I bring it up?
Yeah.
Seeing, back to the first page, Lime Art Association had a request for 20, and we bumped down to 10 with nothing for next year. Is that correct?
It's a suggestion.
Okay,
Annuity.
because Flo Briz is not anywhere on these sheets, I suggest that it be included as a consideration on this page. The request is for $50,000 for 23-24, and then $50,000 for 4 more years after that. And there just happens to be a spot under open space, so I'm adding
Or
it
up
there.
above.
Or up above, either one.
Well, the consideration for this year is 50.
Right. I have mixed feelings. If we've done it for other organizations that are trying to work towards something, I think they should be given at least consideration. 50 grand may be a little higher than what anyone wants to consider, but I think it deserves a conversation.
Do you want to make a motion for the 50?
Well, I'll make a motion for the 50.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Further discussion?
Well, that's why we've got it here.
It was just sprung on us tonight, it's not 50, it's 300?
Actually, it was
But we wouldn't,
it was in our books, but not in the right place.
yeah, but
Okay.
we're not going to vote on
We're
it.
not
Right.
committing to the future, but as a matter of fact, we're setting a precedent and maybe some reliance, and we're
Agreed.
certainly pushing in the direction of continuing it. And I guess, I mean, again, like I was saying last week, what's our philosophical underpinnings of giving money to nonprofits?
Right.
And I don't know the answer to that. Obviously, the tie-in ought to be of the benefit to the community, but then what is the need of a particular nonprofit to have those dollars from the taxpayers,
Right.
as opposed to from the public through a fundraising capital campaign or something else. So I mean, the motion's been seconded, and I just want a little discussion
Yeah.
to hear what
Yeah.
you guys think about should we be contributing. Did they want it for 6 years or 5 years? 5 years?
according to, it added up to 250, but I think it said 6-year plan on it.
In other words, do we think that this is taxpayers should support to the extent of 50,000 this year or coming year, and perhaps 250,000 over the life of it for a project that you said is estimated to cost $12.5 million? So it's a big project. And I don't know how to answer the question.
I appreciate, and we had the conversation last week about which nonprofit need is higher, and how do we decide how to allocate these funds. And I think that's a conversation as a board we should have moving forward, or the Board of Selectmen at least.
Hey, let's just pause right there. Has the Board of Selectmen discussed this question about supporting the Flow Grizz?
The Board of Finance votes for the Board of Selectmen to give it guidance.
Seriously, I don't think we can even take it up without the Board of Selectmen.
I mean, I think usually I would hope that this comes to the Board of Finance with a recommendation from the Board of Selectmen.
It's material enough, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I agree that it's more than what we would normally consider, but I think that some consideration should be given to a portion, because we have funded or made a contribution towards other not-for-profit organizations when they have a special project presenting. We have not done that for them, so I think we should at least consider it.
Okay, well, obviously we should consider it.
Whether we vote on it tonight or not.
In principle, anytime one of our nonprofits wants to build a building, we should automatically give them.
No, I agree.
Slippery slope, right, that you don't want to.
Well, with the Art Association, though, they had projected it out, and we gave them, I believe, just a 1-year commitment.
I don't remember the amount, but we did give them quite a bit
Or
of
maybe
They've been in here
30,000 or
for
something like that.
the first year of the
fifth year.
the project.
That was for
No,
the siding.
but we gave them
A one-time.
a one-time larger inflection, whatever you want to call it, when they had their capital project and fundraising.
But then it's kind of
for the
stuck
outside of
around
the
a little
building.
bit, is
Yeah.
the point.
That was to maintain their building as a functional building, not to expand it.
Right, but so I think we need to have more conversation, because there's so many levels and so many, is it for fundraising, is it for...
And then where does the nonprofit designation stop for these sheets?
No, I get it.
And certain people don't have $20 million in their endowment.
Well, yeah, the Art Association clearly is not as wealthy as the Flow Grizz.
Right.
Anyway, I don't mean to sound negative.
No, you're not. I just think we should have this conversation.
I'm trying to look for guidance as to how do you decide these.
Well, I don't necessarily think that it's overly pressing either, so there is some time maybe for the selectmen to discuss this. It could be part of this budget season, it could be part of...
Because I don't have any information on this. I guess there's something floating around. But could you or somebody prepare to really say what this is, what's going to be built, and the need and all this stuff? Because I'm not sure what the piece is that's floating around.
That's why I asked the question, where did the 50 grand come from? And it seems like it was kind of like, it seems like 10% is right. As opposed to, hey, we've filled all of the buckets of need. We're going to be able to fund this except for 250 grand that we need, and we'd love for the town.
But it would be nice to know.
So if we had like an overall picture of the scope and the value of the project and the timing of it, that would be a good next step, I think, for people to get comfortable with making a decision, one way or the other.
Would you like us to consider that as our special meeting? You think we'd get that to us?
Yes.
And then relay it to us.
That'd be great,
Okay.
yeah.
Let me refresh my recollection, Matt. When did you... I don't remember the timing of the groundbreaking. When did Matt think they might start construction?
Within the June 1st?
The budget year.
Next year, I think? June
Late
1st.
spring, early summer.
Yeah.
Already.
So potentially the end of this fiscal year. So,
But it might, but again, you're gonna be so big, here's what we're gonna do.
That comes first. They, if you don't contribute for this fiscal year, even though they start in June.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It's not gonna be located in.
you can break ground with 70% of it raised without,
Narrative is.
happy to be the last dollar,
Yeah.
if you really need it,
Yes.
sort of thing. That's another consideration, yeah.
And it's a lot of money. We shouldn't.
Yeah.
No, not the way Box.
We can make it less material if you wanted to make that motion.
And possibly.
Not tonight.
I'd rather have a thoughtful.
Yeah.
And possibly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe
All right.
just talk about that a little bit.
And maybe something, if you do that for the selectmen, maybe leave a duplicate set in the lobby here for people to look at?
Well, let's,
No.
before we make it, available to the public.
Well, they have most of this available already.
Yeah, I mean,
They have presentation packets.
Yeah, but I mean.
give you a source of the funding, which is a source of the funding that is allocated.
Okay.
I think we
Thank you.
have a motion on the table right now.
We do.
We do have a motion on the table.
Right.
Somebody can withdraw it if they'd like.
I will withdraw it until we have more information that we receive through the Board of Selectmen next week.
We're going to be getting items of additional info on capital.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right,
Turn the page.
Tim, we're going to tick these off quickly.
Tom is on the phone.
Thank you, Matt.
Just so you know, he's waiting.
IT.
On our phone
Oh,
here.
God. Yep.
Tom, you there?
Hey, Tom?
Tom is here.
Two ships passing in the night. You were here physically last week, and I was not. And
Right.
Dave Kelsey. And now you're on the phone, so you're in the hot seat. We were just revisiting our thoughts on IT from last week, and we had operationally a question about the scope and your view of the contract with our contracted service provider. And I think last week you were scheduled to have another deep discussion with them a couple of days after our meeting. And so we wanted your view on that line item in particular. I think it's like 123 grand, so it kind of drives the bulk of the IT budget right now.
Yes, and actually, for the record, as of today, it is actually 128,000.
Okay.
Don't put it off.
Right. So I did have that meeting. I did go through just about line by line, and also in conjunction with Andy Russell and Mike Ryder, and copied to Matt Ward. And I understand that he's not in attendance tonight, which I did not realize when I sent that off, and because I thought he would be sort of taking that and bringing it to you. So I apologize for any confusion.
No.
So from the standpoint of the most current set of numbers for use in budgeting for the fiscal year 23-24, as I mentioned, I went through with Tom Riggio, who's the vice president at CT Comp, who takes care of our contracts. We went through each, just about line by line, as I said. It's challenging to, if you'd like me to read it for you, I mean, there's a ton of information here, and unfortunately you don't have a copy to follow along with. But essentially, I'll try to break it down into component parts, if that's okay with everyone.
Sure.
But is that going to be meaningful to us?
Yeah, I don't.
What I'm more interested in is was Andy in on that discussion? But Mike Ryder was. You guys who know something about information technology, what's your view as to the appropriateness of the services that that's contemplated in the contract and the unit pricing in the contract? What do you guys think?
Unfortunately, I can't speak for Andy or Mike because part of the discussion I had with CT Comp representative was to follow up on questions that they had raised, and I've, sent answers based on my discussions. But I also made the key point that I think it's a little bit less effective to have a third party trying to ask questions on behalf of other parties. So I still hold out that, they have not seen the answers yet, so I can't speak for Andy and Mike at this point. But I will certainly give you my opinion. The prices are going up. It's absolutely a fact. As far as the level of service we get from CT Comp, based on my experience, and I work with them every single day, I think they are very good at what they do. I haven't had the opportunity to go out and shop prices against them, but I think that would be a tremendous exercise, and B, would really put a damper on a lot of the good work that's been done because it's sort of all coming together as a whole. That said, there are certain activities that are included in the 23-24 fiscal year budget are big ticket items, specifically the body cam infrastructure support, which is, have to excuse me, I have rough numbers here. Is approximately I want to say a $22,000 charge that wasn't in last year's budget for those items, and that's where the 123 turned into 128 today. We just found there's a third party that has to work with us on that, so they just got numbers to Tom Riggio, and that number was about $5,000, so that adds to that total there. The other thing is that, we have been, as a multi-year project, we have been embarking on what I'll call generally data protection activities, compliance with this, rules and regulations, if you will, that are recommended by not only the state of Connecticut, but the insurance providers and CT Comp in terms of establishing programs and processes and equipment and, operating procedures to protect our data in sort of in the short term and the long term. Includes not only training and testing, but also such situations as having 24/7 monitoring of data, potential intrusions to our data, all of these things that we bought cyber insurance to additionally protect from. So there are a lot of things.
So hey Tom,
yeah,
just to kind of put a point on it. The services that we are asking the consultant for, do you think that they're priced fairly in your view?
As far as, is that David?
Yes.
Yeah. As far as value for what we're getting, absolutely.
Okay.
I can't tell you that, there aren't other vendors who might offer those services at a lesser rate, but I think what we've built is a relationship with CT Comp. And we have been setting up things that they, listen, there's certainly, we're holding them accountable and asking the valid questions when we see, X amount of money, explain that.
Yeah.
Why is it that much, et cetera. And
that's fine. We're just trying to establish a budget number for us.
Yeah.
And so if you feel that the 128 is pretty close to what it can be and it's fairly priced for 23-24, that's what the Board of Finance is looking for from you in terms of your view. So it sounds like that's the case.
Based on the conversations I've had in the last 48 hours, I would say yes.
Okay.
And I would also add in that I expressed, sort of on behalf of the town, a concern that these be good numbers. And we also have talked about a few strategies for trying to reduce some of those numbers. There are some opportunities there. So based on what I'm looking at, which you can't see, and what you've got that I can't see, I'm okay with that number because I can see how it breaks down.
Okay.
And from a quality perspective, I think we're with good people. Listen, they're not cheap.
Hiring professionals, and we pay our auto mechanic $110 an hour, whatever it is. But on the contract, is $128,000 for specified services, or is some of it a projection of services that we will need on an on-call basis?
No, I think very, very little of that is projected out that way. There are numbers established on a monthly basis for a number of levels of service, and I went through those all with the gentleman today or yesterday, and I think these are the same levels of service that we've been asking for since I started at least, and I'm sure before that, but pricing goes up. I just need to add that there was a 15% across the board increase at CT Comp this year, which they announced in I think October. They are not billing us on that until July 1. So
I guess what I'm asking, Tom, is with my belief, my assumption, and my belief is that with our information technology, hardware and software, like with anything else, there may be unexpected issues or problems that arise in the future. And so my question is whether this contract contemplates that they're going to deal with unanticipated issues, or would those be extra on an hourly basis? So that the 128 at the end of the year could be an underestimate if we have unanticipated problems that arise.
I think in many ways, yes, that's correct. There are, just be advised that there are, $3,000 or $4,000 set aside for what they call general equipment failure purchases and service requests. In other words, can't anticipate, but there's something built in there. And I think that's a good idea because that has happened. We have had, any sort of number of and type of different unexpected failures over the past 9 months or 10 months that I've been involved. And I think that's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
Okay. And finally, do you know whether, is this a one-year contract? Is for a term of 12 months?
What I have is a set of numbers to budget by. As far as a contract goes, I would have to look into that because I don't. I have seen copies of a contract, but I don't know how. If it's current. I didn't sign it. And I can certainly follow up on that. But.
Well, that's not relevant to our decision tonight, but do you know whether the contract can be terminated by the town without cause?
I'd have to read the rules and regulations. So I'd have
and who signs it? Tim, would you sign it?
Probably, but
you sign all town contracts. This doesn't.
No, unfortunately, the answer.
Unrelated.
Unfortunately, I don't have that report with me tonight.
In the several years that I've been looking at contracts, any service contract that I or the client of mine signs, I strongly advocate that the purchaser be able to terminate the contract without cause, not having to prove that the vendor has screwed up, only that I'm not happy with the vendor. Mm-hmm. Although the without cause termination provision should make the vendor whole for any expenses or costs. I'm not trying to screw the vendor. We're just trying to say,
parting ways.
Somebody else will make you whole and we'll get out of it. And I'm just generally much more comfortable with the service agreement having that provision.
I don't disagree with you. All I'm saying is I don't have that documentation in hand, so I can't confirm or deny it at this point. I'm happy to follow up on that tomorrow and get back to you.
Okay.
One question, Tom. In that increase, are there some non-recurrent things in this 24 budget that not only increase the price but not be needed after that year is over?
Tim, I don't see anything. I mean, a lot of it is licensure based. There is, like I said,
the police body cam thing that's already in this budget, but when that sunsets, that'll go away. So I'm just wondering how much of this 41,000 increase is going to be with us forever versus, we're undertaking some new initiatives.
Yeah, some of it will be, Tim. Some of the infrastructure support for the body cam continues year over year, and that's licensing, that's support of servers, that's storage costs, and Microsoft licensing for the required software licenses that the officers need to have in order to use this. So,
yeah, but we'll get a scope and a breakdown, and we can review it later. But for our purposes, the 128 sounds like it's a pretty good number.
123 on my sheet.
No, but he said he had an additional conversation today. It's 128. Yeah. 207851 is the number that I've got for Infotech.
27851.
That's increasing the 123,405 to 128. And I say that, but if anybody else says,
well, it's going up.
Literally, I learned this at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Oh, no, yeah. No problems.
Can someone else run it? I'm getting a different number than Dave.
What do you get?
I'm getting 206,850.
If this goes up
851, this is it went up by 445.95, right? From 123,405 to 128 is 45.95.
If this is going up $5,000, the bottom line is going up different.
Okay. The numbers I have, folks, I had an original total 123,406.
Yep.
Plus $4,900 that I learned about today is 128,306.
306.
Well, that makes sense because we didn't have
I'm sorry, I was rounding. I apologize.
Now that can change.
207,851 does not support.
Let's do 129.
Yeah, let's make it 120.
That's for bottom line. 129 instead of 128. It should be 208,851, I think.
Didn't run the numbers.
129 minus 123,405 plus 202,256.
Now, this actually raises a question I'd like to ask of Tim. Tim, we talked over time about various pieces of an IT budget. They may not be represented here on the CT comp list. Example being replacement or additional monitors, additional laptops, et cetera, that have been being asked about by staff over time, and it should be on. If it isn't, it should be added to my priority list that I had shared with you a couple weeks back. So I don't know if you've had any. If I apologize to the board because I don't know where this fits in these discussions. If this is strictly limited to CT comp, that's fine. But I don't think it's the end of the spend on IT, depending on some decisions from the Board of Selectmen.
Probably additional laptops could be considered capital and not in the operating budget.
Okay, and that's fine. I'm still a rookie at this finance stuff with this town. So, if we want to consider it that way, that's fine. I'll withdraw the question.
Yeah, I think we need to.
All right. I think we're good for the operating budget. Any other questions for Tom while we got him? Thank you very much, Tom. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, let me just ask, so other than the checking into the rules and regulations of the contract that we currently have, is there any other follow-up information that the board needs from me? I'm happy to chase it down.
Yeah, I think we're good right now. If we come up with anything, we'll reach out. But for tonight's purposes, I think we're good.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great. Is it 207-156?
850. Yeah, there's
What else has changed? Because the difference is 4,900, and you're going up.
No, the 123 406 is now 129.
We rounded it to 129. We rounded it up to 129,000.
Oh, shit. 129.
But the bottom line is 207-850 for Infotech. I'll entertain a motion for that.
I'll make a motion for that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Great. Any further discussion? Move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Back to capital?
Hopefully.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to sign off if no one needs me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Yep.
Okay. Tim, you ready to hang through these? Retrofit elevator control, page 2.
Wow. Okay.
30 grand.
30 grand, that's fix the elevator, we better do that.
Is that good? Okay. Yep. 3 grand for paint interior offices.
That and the 5,000 we think can be pushed to the next year.
Okay.
Both of those.
The
3 and the 5.
5,000.
Art restoration maintenance.
Suggest 2,000 for that.
Okay. Improvements, 65.
And I don't know if you want to subtotal it, we didn't do that.
Tim, improvements?
What are they?
We've got FF&E and then improvements.
Keep those.
Yep.
Okay, where am I?
So we're not going to finish capital anyway because we've got repairs coming back, a couple other things. So I'm just confirming as many numbers as we can.
Public Works at 14.6.
Yep.
0 for public safety.
Okay.
Now, she has some work to do, but there's plenty of money in the current fiscal budget to do that, so.
For carryovers and existing budget?
And unspent, yeah.
Okay, yep.
Okay, fire, we think the flashlights maybe could be cut by 50% and split it between 2 years. 4,000.
Okay.
Is that based on a conversation with the fire chief?
No.
It's just Tim?
This is the board.
Oh, the Board of Selectmen? Yeah, I guess my question is, I don't remember what was it, just an upgrade from existing flashlights that are pretty good?
Yeah, they had a bunch of them here, and I don't know, it just seemed like...
Well, they're lighter. The newer ones are lighter.
And they had some additional safety features, didn't they?
Right. So the others weren't dead, but I think they were hoping to.
I guess my question really is, if it's a significant safety upgrade for the firemen, does it make sense for only half of the firemen to have that safety upgrade?
I guess we could ask the question. You want to ask them?
Okay. I know what their answer's going to be.
Imperative.
Yes. So, really,
everybody's going to have to take some pain here, I think.
Replacement of the Zodiac.
Yeah, let's do that one, Tim. What do you think?
What?
Zodiac replacement.
Go tell them.
No, I'm just asking.
You live in a wood house?
One on the driveway is stone and the other one's wood. I guess I better move.
Okay,
Then I'll vote for the flashlights. How's that?
Zodiac, are we doing it or no?
Do you live in a wooden house?
Do you remember, did they
I
say
do.
that the current Zodiac is dead or is just not shiny enough?
First time
I
hearing about the
wasn't
Zodiac.
sure that they felt it was as seaworthy as the upgrade.
They talked about the fact that when you have, you have to bring someone in.
Right.
The current one, if someone has a neck injury, the current one they have is a very bumpy ride, which is not, even if you're on a backboard with a neck brace, it's not the thing to do. to bring someone
She can
in.
tell.
I mean, this is a soft bottom and they want to get a hard bottom?
Right.
It's got better rotation. bumpy.
And how about our $150,000 one?
That's what I thought that
Go
was.
In areas where that one cannot go.
Well,
that
should we schedule this over a few years?
well, this is 17 years old, they said, too.
Yeah.
So, probably fading and...
The next one, we can
We're gonna
probably
be
push
going
off a
through-
little while, maybe.
We're going to be going through this again, so we leave it in and we have to
Leave
come
it.
back.
I mean,
Sorry,
I don't know. You
plug
guys-
in here.
We think maybe the
All right, how about the new stove?
key, push.
Hey, wait a
We
minute.
think, we heard it still functional, and I can't imagine it gets a whole lot of use down there. There's no voting there anymore.
Wait a minute. It's a new stove, Old Lyme VAA?
Volunteer ambulance.
Oh, okay. I was thinking visiting nurse.
But, you know, you got a couple of guys on the radio for shift. I mean, do they
Do you
need
have a,
5 burner
do you have a stove and an oven where you work?
No.
No.
Okay, there's your answer.
They said at their meeting that night that it wasn't necessary, just to have, because
Yeah.
an older stove.
Well, he said he thought that because it doesn't get used very often, when they go to start it up, you might get some fumes from particles and dust and all kinds of crap that's in the air.
Right.
And once it burns
Get a
off,
microwave.
it's probably fine.
Easy off?
It's an old Viking. It can't be terrible.
Well, we recommended
Yeah.
pushing it to next year.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the bottom line. Great.
Toaster oven and a hot plate.
Yeah. Microwave.
Chief's
Come on.
interior area and shower remodel, 20 grand.
Excuse me?
We thought that might be pushed.
Does the shower
one?
work now?
I don't know.
How come it's 2/3 of a Zodiac? Nice shower. So what are we doing? Push that?
For a year.
Push the shower thing.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
At 45, I don't know. You know, there was conversation about find breakers on eBay. I don't know how clunky that thing is.
Well, part of the problem is they can't use the washer and dryer.
Right, that we bought.
That's a different breaker.
Oh, this is another one?
These are the
This is
two
Croft Lane, I'm sorry.
These are the two big panels that
Yep.
serves the
Got
whole
it.
park, too.
Yeah.
10,000 for the other panel.
But Swaney gave him this number, I remember.
How do you do it for 35?
But we were going to get a,
Was this,
the idea was to get a quote as to how this panels are so expensive.
which was the panel where there was some discussion about the panel's perfectly fine, but the breakers
Components,
can't
right.
be
That's
replaced?
No.
The breakers are no longer made, so if a breaker goes, what do? And we thought it was probably not cost effective to replace the whole panel because of the possibility that there could be a breaker failure in the future. Instead, maybe to look around and see if there are any
I don't
You
know
know,
anything's been done on
eBay
that.
breakers.
Yes.
Was that this panel?
Yes. It's 2 panels.
So we're still waiting for information on it.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think we're still waiting for them to come to us, ask for 10 grand so they can use their gear.
Well,
That's-
we had
that's
talked
the-
about them needing to ask us for a
That's-
special appropriation for that, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're still waiting for them to come to us, we're gonna come to you.
Yeah, I mean, maybe someone should touch base with them, maybe they think we're gonna add it to an agenda.
Agenda item. Unless you have a list.
Finally, they have a big, long one.
You mean those three people that can't hear you?
We're talking about having a $10,000
Right.
washer dryer panel done this fiscal year because we got the bum's rush on getting
Right.
machines, and they now haven't been hooked up for a year.
Right. I'm just worried that maybe we think that we're waiting on them and they think that they're waiting on us.
to go to the
So that
selectmen.
maybe someone should talk to them and say, hey, are you coming to a meeting or are we putting this on an agenda? Like, what's happening?
And there's no line item for the $10,000 one, I guess. So
Well, you said that that's already budgeted for this year.
No, they were going to come.
Or they were coming to us for a
Special
special
Yeah.
appropriation?
Yeah.
Coming to the Board
the
of
panel,
Selectmen.
the panel isn't in the budget, is it, for the 10,000?
No, they knew about it, but they were afraid to come ask for it.
Well, they could talk to you at the Selectmen's meeting.
You just changed 45 to 10.
Yep, right.
So we might go to one of those building improvement funds and maybe
Good.
swipe 10,000 out of
We
it.
get portable mattresses in here, so that's not like a sleeper.
Yeah.
Nothing in the book.
Get you bunk bed.
Why don't you just go to the firehouse and use the special shower and all of that?
Yeah.
And the Viking stove?
So what are we
All
doing
right,
with the
so
45,000?
So that's a question for the fire
TBD.
folks,
Yes.
along with,
Okay.
So we can't put a number?
Not yet.
flashlight replacement was the other.
And we go next page, nothing till you get the emergency management.
Okay, wait a minute.
Look at that.
So you guys gotta come back to us on that one.
Yeah, well, Dave's got to do some work on this radio.
Yeah, it'll be 35 or something like that for him to start his project, so.
And then
Yep.
police.
Police,
She jokes.
the bathroom, keep,
Okay,
side light,
bathroom, keep.
e-ticket printer, keep, reduce the patrol rifles to 7 at 11,000.
Wait a minute, you said 7 or 11?
Seven rifles
11,000.
for 11,000.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So I have a question about this. The Board of Selectmen was supposed to meet with Matt Weber to discuss this. I looked back at the minutes, and you talked about it at the February 24th meeting. You decided to push it to the March 6th meeting. It was not discussed at the March 6th meeting, and I haven't seen any other minutes or agendas that included discussion of the police purchasing guns. I think you were waiting on information on how much it was going to cost to retrofit vehicles to be able to store them correctly.
You don't have to retrofit, they should add a locking mechanism.
Okay, well, we're looking for cost on that.
As far as I know, it was included in that number. I can get more information for you.
Okay, I thought the Board of Selectmen was going to have a broader discussion on implications of increasing the way we're arming our police officers.
So
Did that happen?
Matt Weber did not come.
Mhm.
on board.
I'm surprised.
So he wasn't invited, but we can invite him on the new special one for next week.
Yeah. I mean, I think when we originally discussed this, we had talked about wanting Matt Weber to either come talk to us or to talk to you guys to just sort of
Would
explain.
you like him here next week?
No. We just need
Yeah,
to
if you
know.
guys
You
talk
guys
with them.
do it.
and
No,
you
I
recommend it.
For me,
Because the initial
personally-
conversation was, holy cow, this is a lot of guns.
Yeah, I mean, I
That's
would
my
like to
recollection
know
of it, so.
what information he has outside of FBI and police research that's backing that up. Public health data shows that those,
Well, whatever his justification is.
I'd like to
So-
know what it is.
and
But that's,
if they notify you of what their meeting is, then you can attend.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Right.
that's more a Board of Selectmen.
Yeah,
And that way,
Yeah.
you can ask them,
yeah.
So
Okay, great.
are we just tabling this for now, or?
you're gonna have to.
We're gonna have to, it's another item.
Well, the
But-
I mean, we don't have to, we can vote, but.
Well, but has the
Not
Board
tonight.
of Selectmen reduced these or changed the numbers that are in
Yeah.
the book?
not this one
So
particularly.
the
Everything's the same.
$14,000 for rifles is still
Yep.
good?
No, I think there's
Patrol rifle.
sidebar discussions about cutting it to 7 and also be aware that some of the older pistols are traded back in, and they'll get credit for those, plus the ammunition. So
A lot of ammunition.
What?
They say there's a lot of ammunition purchased.
Well, that's for the new stuff, but then the old ammunition can be sold back to the state.
And then adjust.
We're not gonna pass anything.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my short question is whether the Board of Selectmen has discussed these numbers and has decided that they should be reduced. And if so, to...
Well, the only one that was up for that is the rifles. That would be a change at this point.
I don't think we ever did a final.
No, wasn't it?
We asked for more information on the lot.
We talked to Matt about it. And,
No, I don't think we voted on it. I think we discussed it. As a special meeting.
Well, it sounds like enough members of the Board of Finance would like a little bit more feedback from you guys, so if we can leave that with you, that'd be great. Okay.
All right. So the rest of that police stays. Okay.
Outside contractors, what's the big one?
I think the Public Works projects, no change. We have the Grassy Hill in there. We still haven't heard back from the state. DEP, Corps of Engineer. And I know up in Lyme, they replacing a bridge with a different plan, and if we could, I don't know if we could switch horses at this point, but it was an 80-20. And I think that was federal and state, and I think Lyme is practically putting nothing into the bridge, so I want to learn more about that, 'cause we're 50-50. So
Instead of 80.
this line would produce about $1.3 million. And that was $1.2 million was the last estimate.
Yeah.
So have we reserved these numbers, the prior year's numbers already?
Yeah, the 592 and the 355 are in a super deluxe
That would be
account
great.
somewhere.
I do believe that this is one of the things that Martha Marcel put on her appropriations, $1 million for Grassy Hill Bridge.
Okay. Now we go to various accounts. Capital, Park and Rec, ditch the lighting, keep the 150. No change with the public work vehicle equipment. Keep the fire fund 150, that's going to be ongoing. And then we're at CP comp again.
I did have one note under the Townwood Park security upgrade. IT committee said it should be covered under IT. So that $11,000.
Yeah, that's what Tim said to remove
sorry.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing that's left is soccer goals for Townwoods Park.
Sorry.
All right, so
Yeah, I guess.
Tennis courts were out?
The tennis courts are in,
Yeah.
lights are out.
Okay, he said the
Yeah,
only
lights
thing
are
left. Okay, got it.
The 10-4.
So, Town Hall,
Oh.
survey and access. Or serve and access, I don't know what serve is short for.
So it's the fob entrances with the new doors. It's 38.
38,980.
So the doors have already been budgeted,
They're in carryover, yeah.
carryover,
Yeah.
and this is the electronic part
All right, so we're keeping that. Is that right?
for now.
38, well,
Yeah, I think that's
She
been on
means
the back burner. Phil worked on that, and we got approvals from Historic and all that stuff.
yeah.
But we haven't actually found a vendor to make the doors and all the rest of the stuff. And
So-
of course, when you get into surveillance and cameras, there's still a debate about, we want everything to be the same vendor, and I
Yeah.
don't know if that's been fleshed out yet.
What's the refresh? 35 grand.
Painting one side of the building.
Okay. And that needs to be budgeted for? It can't be spent out of the building?
We didn't,
This is computers.
Yeah.
This is computers and printers, like, remember we spent about 140 grand on computers to buy a bunch of 50?
No, Tim, I'm up above, 35 grand to refresh.
no.
This is
Yeah,
under
but this
IT.
is under IT, information.
That's IT, it's computers and printers to buy new, instead of doing it all at once, buy them over
Oh.
5 years.
Yeah, you thought like paint and paper and spruce it up,
I
right?
think it's a
Yeah,
Yeah.
lipstick, makeup, hairspray.
David,
Martha thought the same thing, so I wasn't alone.
it's not a rest stop.
Yeah, okay.
It could be.
All right.
So computers, printers, okay.
I think if that line is 200,000, that's tantamount to what we spent when we bought them all at once.
Yeah. All right, capital projects consultant.
That would probably be in the regular operating
Well,
budget
that's
for
CT
Connecticut Computing,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was gonna say, that
It's that-
seems
that
like
line.
a duplication.
We ought to ask whether that's,
Unless they charge us extra, we come up with a new project, I know.
Could very well be, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
how much extra
leave it in
we
at
charge
2
with
grand. Printer,
printer,
yep, we need those.
bunch of battery things.
Wait, so what, are we gonna circle the 6,500 for the consultants
I think you ought
for
to,
confirmation?
We can say, why can't it be in the,
Yeah, or why isn't it?
question
Yeah.
mark.
Printers,
The question is whether it's included in the 128?
Double.
yeah.
Or what the special project is. I mean, is this a special project around all the surveillance
The
equipment?
refresh,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever, yeah. Because that would need also supervision if you're replacing a whole bunch of computers, so.
Printers, yeah.
We could consolidate on printing. Printer on everyone's desk,
Really?
a lot of them. They're old. They're very old, but if we went to a bigger printer that they could use their access, their IT access to, and.
Like one of those,
Dial, you know.
like the big copy machines that.
Like a big Canon, yeah. Yeah,
Follow me printing?
Just a networked printer, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
especially, if we've got.
But it wouldn't be town-wide, though. There's going to be other buildings that could
Right.
have
Ones,
access.
right, other
to that,
buildings
but
that
it'd
have a
only be
floor,
hundreds
something
of
like
dollars.
that,
Yeah.
But in here,
Consolidate ink and,
just think every different printer that you have has a different toner, different.
Right. Well, you can have a printer that scans, copies all of it, and you just all remote access it.
IT committee. Okay, 6 grand for battery.
at 15,475 and the 6,500, that's Haynes Park, so, we're not that close to settling on that, and that might be pushed into the next year.
Wait, what is that, Tim?
The
The
11th,
bottom,
the
the pair down there.
second and third one.
Haynes Park.
Oh,
Video surveillance, wireless expansion. I don't know why we have to have wireless for people in the park,
I haven't figured that out either.
Come on.
Everyone's got a cell phone that's.
I feel like it was something that 5-8 years ago was the thing everyone was moving towards,
Right,
and now it's completely obsolete. It's
Right.
not necessary.
I
should we be harsh and just eliminate it?
Yeah.
Yeah, delete, delete, delete.
Well, I know he said he wasn't gonna do the gazebo until he had a year's surveillance.
Well, then,
So
we're not
for
gonna have
surveillance.
the gazebo, so.
I know that was,
Oh, wow.
Well, should we push the 15,475 should not be in this year's
Right.
budget?
Yeah.
Scratch the 60.
But do we put it in next year's budget?
Now,
16
for
grand
now.
for now?
I think there has
I mean-
to be some bidding on what it actually would.
And I feel like there'd been discussion about, like, let's do the police station and work out all the
Yeah.
kinks and make sure it's working
Yeah.
before we,
Yeah, that's
at
what Andy
town
said,
hall,
yeah. Do every
before
place.
we, like,
Yeah.
so I don't think it's realistic to expect that we'd do Haynes Park this first.
Why?
Now,
This is
the-
25.
What about the video? What do we do with that?
Push it, yeah,
Push it.
right.
The other thing is the senior center. So the senior center got numbers at midnight on Sunday.
I'm sure.
And so They're not that different from
They're not?
prior numbers,
Good.
which was good.
I was afraid they were
But they're-
skyrocket.
Yeah, they're not nailed down at all. So those guys are going to be meeting this week, and they asked to meet tonight 2 weeks ago, and then they got the numbers late. So they're also going to be here next week to talk about what the needs are going to be in this coming fiscal year. So,
Can we start earlier?
yeah, I think.
I'm gonna have to. I don't. That probably doesn't work for you this month, because I
Yeah.
forget that.
But we'll try to go as quickly as possible.
The next page is roads, so they stay.
Yeah, that is what it is.
Done.
Okay. Great.
That's our preview for capital.
You said,
Andy said he was getting out of it. We'll fix it.
yeah, I heard you, that next week has to be our last meeting. I don't think it can be.
It wasn't last year.
I'm just looking at the schedule, and we have the budget.
I just said that.
Budget public hearing is the 17th of April.
Yeah.
And so we'll just have to do what we have to do.
Yeah.
We'll have weekly meetings, or we can have 2 meetings in a week if necessary to get
Yeah.
this thing done.
Yeah, thank you for that. And last year, kind of,
Cheerleader.
I had such hope at the beginning of this process, but
Can I just give you an update on the worksheets and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I have access to Nicole Ledger's computer. My goal this week is to go in with all the numbers and
Great.
plug everything in up to this point. What I wanted to just talk to Amy, I think, like anything that's expense related for the town is in the file. The only thing I don't know about is, revenues. If the money's in the bank, I'm not sure if it's put in the proper account, but it's there. So we're working on that piece of it. My goal was to update all your budget worksheets and get you numbers through the end of February. Again, I don't know, the expense side probably would be the most accurate because that's automatic. Every week when Amy does her AP processing, she charges it to the accounts appropriately. The only numbers that might be a little off are exact like tax, arrears, but the money's in the bank. So we can, that's the goal for me this week, is to enter all the numbers up to this meeting and get everyone the actual budget expense report that we had, the last one we had was in January.
Okay.
Update the capital worksheet, update the, I guess the grade list with the assessor, right? That's in the update. Update the RSPD numbers. I'm just reading it out loud. If you think of something else you want updated, just let me know. And then update the abatement portion, the 5 for the abatement, we'll just update that.
yeah, whatever, because the exhibit that we typically have, right, where we set the mill rate, and it could be, there's 3 columns there for, whatever choice the Board of Finance makes.
Right.
But those are the elements that I
I
remember,
think
so.
finance files is not going to be a problem because they're listed at the bottom here where they are. So I think it's just a matter of plugging the numbers in and working, I talked to Dave a little bit about some of the numbers, but I know Michelle has a running list as well, and we can bounce off her and hopefully get you something this weekend so you have to look over. And then Monday, if we have a special meeting, like Tuesday, you should have some fresh numbers here. Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah.
If you want to update it, just let me know. I'm pretty sure I can find it. The system that she's using, that they use, DMSI, is the same system we use in Deep River, right?
Good.
Accounts payable and some financial stuff, so it should be pretty easy to get the reports and, try to check the accuracy of them based on some numbers.
Cool. Thank you,
Nice.
Matt, for jumping in and doing
Yeah.
that.
I also think that Gabe Block and Amy Jensen and Kim Rhodes have also jumped in and filled in for people who are out.
Mm-hmm.
They're just doing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
see them.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt.
And now,
Now what?
All right,
Capital project fund,
capital expenditures,
out.
not satisfying. Capital
No.
projects funds.
That's 210.
These are perfunctory, pretty much?
Well, I do want to challenge the sanitation and recycling. It's been $1,000, I guess, lately. And I think this group is the logical choice for the NIP money. And we've received about $7,500 for a year that they started this program. So it seems to me if we get 75 or more, that could be, they could help decide how to spend that. They would come back to the Board of Selectmen with a recommendation, but I don't think that they need the 10,000. They could probably just stay with 1,000, and the NIP money it's supposed to be used for these kinds of purposes. And I think if we ditch the lighting at the Park and Rec line, that could be curtailed to 167 versus 312.
Wait, so Tim, sanitation and recycling, proposing to go to 1,000 from the 10?
No, yeah, down to 1,000.
Down to 1,000.
Keep it back to the 1,000, and then they have the availability of the NIP money, which is currently 7,500. We get another shot here end of the month.
Right.
So they'll get
Nothing's been spent.
Literally, sorry.
Yeah, another shot. Got it.
So,
No jokes, right, Tim?
buy those nips and help us out.
Yeah, right.
We could just pass the hat, right?
So, all right, so then we've got
1,000?
1,000 there. What is IT for the 127.9?
I have no idea.
Is that?
How much is in that account?
No, and
Steve?
Matt is the
Chart of accounts. About 30,000. But it's sort of a pass-through. But
I thought it was.
we're budgeting computing. I guess when we did that other report, the spending, the capital part of it was funded through this.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because that's a capital account where we build it up and we draw it down as needed, right? And so, but
we're budgeting.
That number is based on the capital, IT capital budget.
I think we
well, let's look.
Make sure.
Yeah, 1.79 capital budget as well. So that number will change when we change.
That's the source of it.
Right. Okay.
That'll shift.
So that will change. So we're going to vote on this. Okay. Public Works, 49 grand. Same thing, 49 grand, so that's fine. That number's fine. 10 grand, Building Improvement Fund. Road Improvement Fund. Park and Rec.
Bus barn.
Well, Park and Rec is going to go down.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to be 167 instead of 312. No, let's see this. Bus barn.
Okay. Police private duty.
Remember we got that repair bill out of there and stuff? Certain amount of the private duty money goes, there is a private duty fund which has about 17,000. We've taken money out of it for various
expenses.
Things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Peccadillos.
Yep.
The bus barn's got about 10,000 in it right now. I'm not sure what Nicole had in mind for the $35,000 increase. You know, we.
Well, let me ask it, as just going down the list here. Private duty, 15 grand. We budgeted last year for it for the first time. Should we budget again for it? Should it go down? Or should it be 5? How much are the picadillos?
Yeah, that is.
You said the balance was 17, right?
We had 59,500 in expenses this year.
Yeah, that's big.
Oh, from January. I know there's also a lot of work in town over the front here in the last.
They're still out there.
I think it's $25 a day per car.
Oh, on the revenue side.
Right, so
Yeah.
there's more revenue coming in. So far, this year through January, we made 41.80.
But this is a transfer from that
Right.
to cover expenses. My question is, and we don't have, you know, we've got through January numbers.
I think she liked a certain number in there, if I remember from one of the meetings, she liked like 30 grand in there, but we had more expenses. We had a lot more.
Oh, so we dropped
So we
below
took it
at the
down.
beginning of this year.
Didn't get the ATV out of there, I
I
think.
think that's.
ATV.
That could be the reason I can't see for, I was guessing.
Yeah, but with that extra work that we didn't know about for
Yeah,
Frontier.
it could get there.
Money.
And Frontier's supposed to be here till May 1st, I think, is the
I guess we're gonna
contract.
run the February numbers and see what's been charged, or ask Amy what she has charged and what she's expecting to come in.
I mean, it's 15 grand,
Yeah,
and
I'm just guessing.
so,
Not
I mean, if it could be less, that's great, but it's not gonna kill anybody to keep it 15, so.
Open space, we know what that
Open space, 75.
Fire apparatus.
that, we know what that is.
What's the bus barn increase there, Tim?
Well, the,
Close it out?
we're kind of squirreling up for repairs to the facility, like paving and the building itself. You know, long ago, we had built-in money that the school would pay that would be accumulating, but that stopped. And so I think we're basically coming up on a lease renewal, and we can impose, you know, have some of that rent money start to build a reserve, because there's an oil diesel tank there, and stuff that's going to wear out. And the original thing provided to start that replenishment a long time ago, but we need to repave at some point, and who knows what. So I'll try to get the lease and find out how much comes to the town of Oline, which we can then start accumulating for future repairs, because there's a small amount of money in there, but let's see, the bus.
Now, the bus barn also services students in Lyme. Is that something that we would talk to Lyme about sharing costs?
Well, if the school pays it, it's from.
It's right.
Yeah.
It's already doing it.
Already split. Yeah.
10,000.
But good try, Kim. We like where you're thinking.
So,
But the 37 is a draw from the fund for something. So that's the way this is
I'm
read.
not aware of anything that needs to be done right at the moment. But if we're funding this and it's a conduit to that fund, then, you know, it might be 47 if there's 10 in it. I'm not sure of the mechanics.
Yeah. No, my question is the 37 is obviously materially different from historically. Is there a project plan or?
Didn't hear what the,
Do you remember that Phil, before he left, said that there were things that were going to need to be taken
Probably.
care of as a buffer?
yeah.
That makes sense.
And he had some questions. He wanted to power wash the outside with some mobile growing on it. He wanted that done. There were different things. And you and I took a ride there one day just to see outside. We didn't go in, but we took the outside just to see it, because he sort of described it to us as a
Well, maybe he gave that
Now
to
considering-
Nicole, and Nicole just dropped it in there, so.
Could be.
I think it's probably worthwhile, and then I think we have to adjust, if the bus, if M&J can pay, I think there's some factor that they have been paying that diminishes. Do you remember, Martha?
Wait, I've got some, well, this 22 and 23, there's supposed to be some repairs. It's on Tom's list of things to do for facilities. Replace the floor tile, $6,000. Replace an exterior siding that has some issues with it. Gutters and power wash, $2,750. And remove the brush and growth at the fence. That was $1,000. So that's
Tom's list, that's pretty cool.
$9,750.
So they're gonna need some dough.
Yeah.
At least 10.
And I think we can examine the lease when it ends and make sure there's enough to augment.
We've gotta come back to this anyway next week because of the IT capital. So 37 grand, you guys tell us whether 37 is a good number or not for that. So, all right. Revenues, I don't think we've got, right?
Nope.
Suspense list.
You got, Michelle has it.
Oh, God.
Don't lose it.
Thanks to start. I think I have got your name off for a while. I'll start.
You can write 8 next to your name.
People that are on, you.
Yeah, just make sure your name's not on it, right?
I've known.
I think Hope's on it, maybe.
Ding 'em.
Public House is on here.
Yes.
All right, minutes.
Oh, come on, really? They wouldn't let me do minutes when it was this.
Oh, that's what they
You're no fun.
27th.
They're buried by now in here.
I'll entertain a motion for the minutes of February 28th. Is there a second? Thank you.
You just got the other one.
Yeah, these are minutes of the 28th.
March 7th.
That's already been moved. We're just looking for discussion.
Bullfrog over.
All right, anybody need any more time for the minutes of the 28th?
So long.
Comments, changes, discussion? None, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes for February 28th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. March 7th.
The only thing on the March 7th minutes, on page 9, under social service agencies, the sentence underneath this thing says there was a discussion on the increase requested by ARC of New London County. And ARC of New London County is there at $750. I don't remember. Remind me what the discussion was. Was that $750 an increase from prior?
It was $17.50 on our worksheet, and these minutes should probably...
That's right. It was $17.50, and that was a typo.
Right, and then Martha contacted them and established that it's...
Actually, ARC sent the wrong number out.
Right.
It wasn't our mistake, it was their mistake.
Typo on their end.
And they apologized profusely, and it was supposed to be 7.
Right. So, but as it reads here, it's confusing to the reader. So
Right.
my question is, at this meeting, on the March 7th meeting, did we have a 1750 number for ARC, not a 750 number?
We still have the 1750.
So it's
So the minute should reflect the 1750 number, and then the note should indicate there was a question as to why this was raised to
$1,000
higher number.
Right, so it needs more explanation in
Yeah,
there.
and then last week's minute should have reflected the resolution.
The correct...
Well, no, I think we resolved it on March 7th, because originally social services was on the 28th. So I think on the 28th of February...
No, you weren't. If we passed it for $750, but did not want to slight anyone or have them think that we were doing something inappropriate.
Yeah. So if you look at page 2 of February 28th, the 1750 is there.
What would we do without you? Okay, so then what this should say is that the ARC number reflected a decrease from the 1750 number that was in error or something.
Right,
to
and
that
had been
effect.
verified with ARC or something.
And she sent us the email.
Michelle, do you have that
Right.
thought, sentiment?
Exactly.
Can you write something about that?
I sure could. Michelle, do you want me to forward you the email from them?
So any
relationship?
No, I saw that. A new addition to town.
Yeah.
New relatives. So, the end of the river. Maybrick and Westwood.
Nice.
Any other comments or changes? Okay. Move to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Wait, do we have a motion to?
We have a motion, yes.
Yeah. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended for March 7th.
I'll make a motion, that motion.
A second? Great. Any further discussion, comments? Move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions?
I'm abstaining. That wasn't there.
Thank you. Me too. Great. Suspense list?
It looks as if a couple of people may be deceased.
What?
Robert Chapman on the suspense list.
He's dead.
Yeah. That's what I said. He's deceased.
Still owes.
He's on a number.
I think his estate
He's on a number
probably
of
been
different
settled
roles
by
right now.
now.
that we need-
Oh, gosh. And same thing with Shirley Robinson.
I know, I saw that too.
Yeah. But
All
if
right,
lights
so-
go live, we'll go after that.
Suspense list, if anybody who hasn't seen the suspense list can just take a quick look, and if you've got a bead on anybody, that'd be helpful, for the $33 that they owe.
Some Russells on there, but I'm not related.
Right.
There was a Kelsey.
There was a
too.
Kelsey, that was not related.
I lost my agenda, but I think we're almost to
I
the
think
end.
we are to adjourn the meeting.
Oh,
And people could chase.
awesome.
So we gonna vote on the suspense list? You have to sign it.
We do.
10:30?
Okay, okay.
We'll wait for that.
So do we vote on it even if people have died? I mean, do they get crossed off the list? How does that work?
It goes to their estate.
Right.
To the audit.
State's liable.
We have to vote on it.
We'll vote on the presentation, suspense, or the
Okay.
suspense list as presented.
Basically,
Do we take them off the list after their estates are settled?
There's gotta be a process around that.
Yeah.
Name's on there, right?
I guess so.
Because there's some on there, they've been gone a long time. Yes.
Wait, Tim, Board of Finance members.
What?
Board of Finance members, so we can get out of here. We're gonna take a vote.
Griswold.
That's half the list.
Looks like the Inquirer there.
His name's been there for a while.
This is extra paper. Excuse me.
Deleted.
We get extra.
So,
I need some.
Especially if it's like,
I'll recycle it at home.
Just decided to wipe them out.
from each about his had fallen down, so it didn't scan it. So when we came it or protested, it said in small print, keep these records 8 years and 3 months. But 7 standard needs
they figured out who the car was that they couldn't read the plate?
No, somebody had him, the Easy Pass fell down. They sent him a bill because when he went through, they couldn't read his Easy Pass, and so it was waived. But he said to keep those documents for 8 years and 3 months, for a $50 whatever end charge, and 3 months, right?
And I think you used to pay a deposit on that damn thing, and I don't know if you ever get that back. $25?
Yeah. Times 2. Did we adjourn the meeting?
No, we still have to acknowledge it, yeah.
It's in the hands of a lawyer. I won't get rid of it.
BJ, I'd take my time if I were you.
BJ, man.
You got my head.
The front page.
Take a list of something
All right,
Pets.
that you can call and get them to pay. This is,
Yeah.
you get it. I bet if they say you get 25% of everything you collect, I bet they do.
Oh, I didn't know you get 25%.
Yeah.
Out of, what, $32 or $1.13?
You want a copy of that?
No, thank you. Yes.
You get $25 if you get hope.
Well, let's let it build for a few more years. Maybe I'll get a lot more. If you initial it and page date.
I'm just looking to see what. Vehicle. Not all the numbers. Real
I
estate.
mean, this is the basic.
That's amazing. $600. We wrote off a whole bunch last year. So there's no total for the suspense list. All right. I will entertain a motion for the approval of the suspense list in the amounts of, I'm going to give the subtotal and the title, and then you can have this back after I sign it. Personal property of $7,601.36. Motor vehicles, $13,553.48. Motor vehicle supplemental, $1,598.47. Real estate, $599.26. That is the motion that I will entertain.
Yeah, real estate's the least of them all.
Garvin, is there a second?
I'll second. Or Matt, he can do it. You can
Thank you.
collect for 25.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the suspense list as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Great. Motion to adjourn, anyone?
So moved.
Great.
Second.
Okay, very good. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.